Yeah, the statement of office. Do you want to go ahead and do them?
Wait, no, who reads the?
No. What happens is when they first come out, you can do it if you want to. You can go ahead and be the one to read the oath. Yeah, that would be a good idea. You can read the oath for each of them, and after they finish it, they have to. You can do that after the council meeting. They can come and sign, but you can read it, and after they read it, you can give them their certificate. That would be a good idea. Yes.
Early in the meeting, in the order.
Yeah, in the order that it shows up on the agenda. Okay. And what you can do is, I will be right here after you say the Pledge of Allegiance and the roll call. You can have them stand up there and do it, and then I'll give you the certificates to hand out to them.
Super.
Is that okay?
Yep.
Less for me to do. I'm sorry? We can if you want to, but I like your picture that you have in there already. But if you feel compelled.
They read the statement and the oath?
Actually, I would just go ahead and have them to do the oath. They've done the statement of office already once, but they need to do it again. Oh. But we can do it after the council meeting if you want.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
That way the oath is for everybody, and then we'll have them do the statement of office afterwards if you like.
Okay.
Although they've already done it before, so. But just, just to make sure that everything... Here's this one also, sir. It's the oath.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yes.
You just really need one. And then they'll sign afterwards,
Okay.
So if you want to just get one, and you can read it to them, and that's it. And then they can come and sign after the meeting, all three of them.
Right.
Okay? And then I'll give you the certificate. I'm sorry?
Can I do all three of them at one time?
I do, yes, sir. Okay, that stuff on there now.
Who's taking your oath?
He wants to do the oath, so.
Which oath?
Oath of office for the council, yeah. Can he?
No,
yeah.
No, I was just wondering who it was.
I'm sorry?
I was just wondering who it was.
Oh, yeah. It's the oath, yeah.
All right. Do it, and then we'll do the oath of office for the candidates. Yeah, we'll do it. All right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for coming. I think it's 7:01 p.m. and I'd like to call our meeting to order. Thank you all in attendance. If everyone would bow your heads, and Scott Bailey, please lead us in the invocation.
Dear Lord, please accept our graciousness for allowing us to be here tonight. Please let us make great decisions for this great little town we're in. Please look over us and look over all of our council members and all in attendees and all the residents here. Bless our state, bless our country, and most of all, bless all the decisions that we make. Amen.
Amen. All right. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Janice, can the records show that all council members are present? And now we're going to swear in some our returning council members and a new police officer. Chief.
So this is Officer Brian Stevens. He comes to us from actually St. Mary's Police Department, so we're happy to have him. He's also a Navy veteran, so I won't hold that against him, being an Army veteran, but we appreciate that he's a veteran. He's also a veteran police officer, so he comes to us for 5 years experience, so we're excited to have him and his experience in Hollywood Park. He's going to be a great asset to our police department, and then after we do the swearing in, I'll introduce his family.
I, Brian Stevens, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office
that I will of peace officer of the state of Texas
and will do the best of my ability
and will do the best of my ability
to preserve,
to preserve, protect, and defend
this state,
the Constitution and the laws of this state and the United States.
so help me God.
So help me God. All right. Thank you.
Family, come on up. You want to go over here in the middle here so we can get a good photo? Where's Patrick? This is Patrick, by the way. I surprised him, I knew his name.
The three council members, they will go to the office, stand up and take the oath. Say,
I, Michael Oscar Villarreal,
do solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the duties
that I will faithfully execute the duties
of the office of council member
of the office of council
Of the
member
office of the council member, place one,
of the state of Texas,
of the state of Texas,
and will do the best of my ability
and will do the best of my ability
preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution
preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution
and laws of the United States and of this state.
and
and the laws of the United States and this state.
So help me God.
So help me God.
All right, thank you, man.
Yay!
All right. Yeah. Now, we have a pair of proclamations to share today. This is an acknowledgement of Public Works Week. And whereas Public Works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to the public health, high quality of life, and well-being to the people of the town of Hollywood Park. And whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services cannot be provided without the dedicated efforts of Public Works professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in Hollywood Park to gain knowledge of and to maintain a progressive interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2019 marks the 59th annual National Public Works Week sponsored by the American Public Works Association, be it now resolved, I, Town of Hollywood Park, do hereby designate the week of May 19th through 25th, 2019 as National Public Works Week. We urge all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contribution they make to protecting our national health, safety, and quality of life. In witness whereof, I cause the official seal of the Town of Hollywood Park to be affixed this 21st day of May. I give this to you, Kelly. Okay. All right. Thank you. And on another note, I also want to commemorate an upcoming event, June 7th, for a product that's near and dear to my heart. And as the former owner of the Margarita Man business in San Antonio, and having delivered over 100 machine rentals to the residents of Hollywood Park while we were the owners, we're excited that a new movie's coming out June 7th. And we wanted to make the June 7th official Margarita Day for the town of Hollywood Park. So I'd like to commemorate this occasion with the producer, Danny Ramos, and some of the cast members.
short trailer of the new movie coming out to share with you. And Sebastian De La Cruz is one of the actors in the movie. You may also recognize him as a mariachi singer at the Spurs games and on the Today Show and America's Got Talent. Yeah. So whereas we come together for local Margarita Day, June 7th, to pay homage to our favorite celebratory cocktail, the margarita. Created in 1938 by Margarita Sames, former San Antonio resident, while visiting Mexico. The margarita is widely considered the official drink of having fun and the most popular cocktail in the Western Hemisphere. Whereas Hollywood Park residents proudly have contributed to its success and the healing qualities it provides. Whereas the town of Hollywood Park wishes Danny Robbins throughout some films and the cast of the Margarita Man film success in sharing their story that embraces San Antonio and the Hollywood Park life. Resolved, I, Chris Murphy, Mayor of the town, do designate June 7th, Friday, June 7th, as Margarita Day. I urge all citizens to join me in this commemorative celebration to embrace this occasion responsibly. There you are. Can you show the trailer? Lights, it's on here? Yes.
From the internet download. Right there. Yeah, no, go. Right there. Hit the play. Hit play.
Full screen?
Hit play.
No, that's trailer number 1. That'd be trailer number 2.
But it also do the full screen.
There's another trailer after that one. It's number 2.
Audio? Is that still number 1?
Yeah, it should be number 2. Just 2 shots.
You have to put the mic against there so that way it'll pick it up. You have to put the mic against there. See the mic? Turn it on.
How does it feel to be related to a gold medal? Yeah, in Beer Olympics. Oh my gosh, so you're Miguel's sister? Shut up!
Yeah, what brings you here? What brings me here is a phone call I got about $15,000 in damages from school last year. $15,000? Are you kidding me? I'm gonna take care of everything because that's it. I'm not paying for school anymore. What? You cut off? No, son. You need to realize that life isn't just a party.
Like maybe like $100 to my name and then I'm broke.
So what are we gonna do now?
Jesse James, how did you get all these people to your party?
It wasn't me. It was my friend Miguel. He brought all these girls here just so I could meet them.
The margarita man?
Who's ready for another margarita? I've been getting phone calls all over San Antonio saying that they want their own margarita man.
Right now, we're looking at doing a Mexican fiesta theme. It's called South of the Border Bash. Make sure you get that margarita man who's all over the internet. Do whatever it takes to get him on board. Whatever it takes. Hello, I'm Tiffany White. I'm from the Gamma Delta sorority.
It's about lunch tomorrow.
Lunch, that's it, and nothing else. I wish Lizzo would take me to do things like this.
He never brings you out like this?
Never.
San Antonio. It was a while. San Antonio College was our main university that we came into that college.
Listen, Poncho, you stay away from my girl Tiffany. We'll call you when we need her lawnmower.
The margarita man stole it. Say it isn't so. You are not a thief.
Not a thief. I didn't take it.
I'm gonna find you.
Very Corbin from
Thank you, sir. It would be a great honor.
Never meant for you to think that I wasn't proud of you, son. It's just that all your life you've always had it so easy. You lived your life as a charmed young man.
You took a common drink, a margarita, and you turned it into a thriving business. You know what that makes you?
The margarita man.
So on the other trailer, just to let y'all know, we had Danny Trejo in the movie. Y'all might know him as Machete or one of these other films that he's done, Con Air. Tons of other films, but he's actually in the Margarita Man 2 trailer. So I did the first one, and so we sealed the deal with Danny Trejo. No, that's not it. It should be Margarita Man trailer number 2.
Is that an option on there?
Is there one that says Margarita Man trailer number 2? And that same.
Oops. No.
So while he's looking, Chris, does your wife know about all these exploits that you had?
You know Margarita Man?
She's scheduled them.
Okay.
She did all the scheduling work and for 12 years and hundreds.
The basic premise behind that, I was also working on the basic premise behind it was that the young man.
Okay, so this is number 2. This is now with Danny Trejo in the trailer. Here we go.
I finally get to meet you face to face. Heard a lot about you, especially the parties that you host in our dormitory. Miguel hosts the most outstanding social event on the campus.
What's wrong with him is that he makes his people think they actually belong in our world.
That's your brother. How does it feel to be related to a gold medal winner? Gold medal? Yeah, in beer Olympics. Oh my gosh, so you're Miguel's sister? Shut up!
Still an outstanding balance for student housing damages from last semester.
Wait. Damages? What damages?
Our records show that Miguel installing window slides so he could have a faster exit from his room.
That's it. I'm not paying for school anymore. What? You cut up. No, son, you need to realize that life isn't just a party. Is this your grandfather's sombrero?
Orale, what's wrong with you?
So what are we gonna do now?
Jesse James!
Hey guys.
How did you get all these people to your party?
Who's ready for another margarita?
A margarita man?
I've been getting phone calls all over San Antonio saying that they want their own Margarita Man.
Right now, we are looking at doing a Mexican fiesta theme. It'll be called South of the Border Bash. Make sure you get that margarita man. That's all over the internet. Do whatever it takes to get him on board. Whatever it takes.
We definitely need to show Margarita Miguel where he truly belongs. Listen, Pancho, you stay away from Michael and Tiffany. We'll call you when we need our lawnmower.
The margarita man stole it. Say it isn't so. You are not a thief.
I'm not a thief. I didn't take it.
So what are we gonna do now that the margarita man got expelled?
College isn't for everyone, son.
I'm sorry for all the crap that I've put you through these past few months.
I look forward to planning our events, and I can't wait to get started.
I assume you parked in the proper place? I'd hate to see your vehicle get towed.
The good news is getting our margarita machine next week.
I'm not the university cop this campus wants. I'm the university cop this campus needs. I'm gonna assign you to get to the bottom of this deal.
Hey, well, maybe since you're not going to school till tomorrow, maybe I'll show you that special paleta recipe your grandpa Jose gave me.
Chicks always go for guys without raw names. Don't mess with the pool, son, or you'll get the horns.
So it's a party comedy where just also
Thank you.
Thank you. But I did want to relate one story about your show. I was working off of Fredericksburg Road, and I got a call, and there was a whole lot of cars. I'm not how to pronounce it right, but they were all dressed in character, cholos or what, right? And they were all over the street, and I had no idea it was a movie. I thought it was like a gang thing going on. So I walked over there, and they're like, "Oh, you're getting in our film." And then he told me about the movie, and I put it together. So, Small World, wonderful, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chris, are we gonna have that at movie night?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, guys. All right. Now for announcements. On the fire report, Johnny, I've got you coming first for the fire report. You got to follow that.
All right. Before I give my report, I just wanted to respond to a question that Councilman Villarreal had last meeting about a 9-minute response. I did go back and look at that, and it seems there were 2 contributing factors to that. One of them was the time of day. The call came in shortly after midnight, so the guys were asleep at that time, so it takes a little longer to get up and get dressed. And then the call was on Ridge Trail, which is about the furthest spot we can go in Hollywood Park. So I think those 2 contributing factors brought the call time call response up on that one.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome very much. So for last month, we had 45 calls for service. We had 24 EMS calls, 15 fire alarms, 2 structure fires, both are in the county, 1 assist the public, 1 down power line, and 2 motor vehicle collisions. Our average response time was 3 minutes 44 seconds. Acadian had a total of 26 calls, and their average response time was 9 minutes and 24 seconds. One of the structure fires that we did have was on Sunday, April 28th at 4:54 p.m. We were dispatched to 15115 San Pedro, which is the auto group, the old auto group, which is down at Brook Hollow and 281. The guys had a 3-minute response time down to there. When they got there, there was active fire in the building, and it was in the front office. So they attacked that fire, got it out, contained it to that office, and afterwards they walked the rest of the building, and they noticed there were several spots that had points of origin. So somebody had tried starting fires throughout that building. Most of them didn't take, just that one took. I responded from home since it was Sunday, and when I got there and took over command, got a report from Lieutenant Leonard. He had told me what he had found. That property also has 2 other buildings on it, so I went and investigated those 2 buildings, and one of those other buildings also had areas where they tried to start a fire, but it was unsuccessful. So at that point, I determined it to be arson. Since it was in the county, I called for Bexar County Fire Marshal's office, and I secured the scene until they got there. Once they arrived, I assisted them with their investigation. So I just want to give a shout out to the crew that day. They did a great job putting a stop to that fire. We had us, Chavano Park, Baraboo Verde, and Castle Hills on scene. So that is still under investigation through the Bexar County Fire Marshal's office. But definitely an arson fire, but really not sure yet why.
There's some cryptic graffiti there, wasn't there, also, in the doors? And
yeah, there were other things on scene that we noticed, and not sure if there were people squatting there or what the actual situation is. I know the property is up for sale right now, so since it is still under investigation, I really can't say a whole lot about other things we found there, but that's the case. If I get any more information from them, I'll let y'all know.
Thank you.
Cinco de Mayo, our firefighters went to Memorial Park for that, and not only did they go, but they entered guacamole into the contest. So Josh Bates, Jeff Robies, Wes Zimmerman, and Justin Leonard entered, and they got People's Choice Award. So good for them. Other events that we attended over the past month were the pet clinic, market days, the deer count, mayor's movie night, the MS4 stormwater training that Kelly put on. Good job. They went to 17319 San Pedro, which is our Marriott call center. On April 25th, it was Bring Your Kids to Work Day, so they called and asked if we would bring the fire truck up there for the kids. So we did that. And on April 23rd, the Girl Scouts Troop 847 came by the firehouse, and we gave them a tour. So that was fun. And lastly, last week, all the peace officers in our department went to qualify with their firearms. I want to thank the police department for allowing us to qualify with them. And so now we all passed, and we're good for another year, in good standing with Texas Commission on Law Enforcement. So.
All right. Thank you.
I just have one thing on behalf of the Hollywood Park Humane Society. I want to thank your guys for coming out and helping us. They really lent a big hand, and they were also taking a couple of kids on the fire truck that day. But they were very, very helpful for us, and we appreciate it.
I'll relay that to them. Thank you.
Johnny, I have a question. First, I wanted to tell you that I really appreciate you posting the pictures. I've enjoyed seeing them on your Facebook and on the Hollywood Park, letting us know. And I really appreciate you telling us about everything that y'all been involved. Because hearing the story with the fire and everything, it's just, I like hearing, what y'all do. And thank you very much for doing it.
You're welcome.
Unfortunately, now I have a question for you.
Okay.
Because in one of the pictures, it perked my curiosity. The movie night and the market days, there was 3 firemen in the pictures. So I assumed that you had one insubordinate fireman. And I went looking, and on March 1st, there's only 3 firemen on duty that day.
So we had on the market day, Scott Rogers, he had called in sick that day, and it was a last minute sick, and I couldn't get anybody to come in and cover that day.
And then on March 18th and 19th, there was only 3 firemen. And I know it's the same thing, where someone called in sick.
Yes.
On May, did I say March? I meant May 18th and 19th, there was only 3. On May 25th, you have a fireman that knows he's going to be sick for 2 days. And
I can't deny him a sick day. I'm sorry.
Oh, I understand that. But from what I've heard you talk about before, is that you cannot go into a fire with less than 4 men. And
Yes.
so we would all be standing at the curb making bets on how long it would take for the house to go down before Chavano Park or Castle Hills or someone was to show up.
That's correct. So according to the law, we're not allowed to go in unless there's somebody trapped inside.
Okay, so on that, I would really appreciate if you would do some brainstorming and see. From what I understand is, if you want to take vacation days, then you throw it out there and someone says, "Oh, I'll take that day. I'll work for you," or whatever. But if you can't get someone to work for you, then you call in sick, and because, like you said, that cannot be denied. So somehow, if we have a fire department that can't fight a fire for us, we've got a problem.
Well, I will say I have not encountered yet a situation where someone has taken a vacation time, could not get off, and then called in sick. I have had people call in sick, but I've never encountered a time when someone has called in sick when they've requested vacation and couldn't get it.
Oh, and I'm not saying that they requested from you and you said no or anything like that. Maybe they asked around to see if someone would work for them, and they could. I don't know that story. I just know that 3 men on duty doesn't work. And so somehow something needs to come up, a plan. And then there was January, February, March, and May. There's several times that there's 5 men on duty, not counting yourself. They will overlap. I mean, I realize I've got an advantage here because you don't have the calendar in front of you, so I don't expect you to have the answers for
a
that.
situation like that would only occur if a call comes in at, say, 6:45 in the morning, and the off-going shift takes that call because the oncoming shift is not there yet. So they would take that call. The oncoming shift is coming on, and that off-going shift does not leave until they're obviously done with the call and get back to the station and leave. But the only time I ever have more than 4 people scheduled is if we have a major storm coming in, or I could foresee any reason that we would need extra manpower that day. If say someone quits and we have to test, I bring people in for that. When we have our lieutenants meetings, I bring people in for that. So there are days that we do have more than 5 here, but it's for extenuating circumstances.
Okay. Thank you very, very much.
You're welcome.
You answered it with a lot of authority. Thank you.
You're welcome.
John, I would say that if there is ever an instance where there's only 3 men, that's why we have the reciprocal thing. And if you're going to a fire, I'm sure other agencies would be called in. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, anytime we have any fire call, we have automatic aid and we have mutual aid for other calls.
So unless all the other departments were fighting other fires, I mean, it would be a very rare thing. We would always have coverage.
Sure. And
Right.
We've always worked with 3 guys on shift, and in the past couple of years we've gone to 4-man, and then last year we put on the extra overtime to keep 4 people instead of going to a 3-man minimum. So we have done things to try and keep 4 people here at all times, but if somebody does call in sick at the last minute, it's really hard to get somebody else to come in. All my part-timers work for other fire departments.
Right. No, that's good. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Now, Johnny, with the thing where Castle Hills or someone would show for the call. There was a house in Hollywood Park that did burn when y'all were out getting your truck that time, correct?
Correct.
Do I have the story right? So it's not like Castle Hills and stuff is just right around the corner. So you stand a chance of a very big loss. I don't want anyone to make light of that.
And that is true. I mean, they're not right here. I mean, obviously it takes them some time to get here. That day, and I don't remember who all was on council or anybody out in the audience that remembers, but I did bring up the fact that morning we were down to 3 people, and that was before we went to a 4-man minimum. We had a truck that was in the shop that was ready for pickup, so one of the guys from the shift before hung over to drive one of the oncoming guys to get the truck, and it's just the stars aligned, and we got hit with a call, and things didn't work out in our favor that morning.
Johnny, can anybody else pick up that truck? Public Works or somebody not in emergency capacity?
Well, no, but they can take someone down there to get it. I mean, to drive one of the big trucks, you have to have a exempt license.
Okay.
So unless someone in Public Works has a Class B or exempt license, then they can drive it. But they can certainly take somebody, one of the firemen, down to go pick it up.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right, moving on, we can go to the police report. Shad? Thank you, Johnny.
Okay, I've got a short presentation tonight because I've got another one coming up on the agenda. But please let me know if you have any questions. We had 219 calls for service with 13 offenses, and part of those, half of those offenses are narcotics violations. And when we look down here, our citation total, this is going to be a record number for us. I've gone back and looked, and so we had 420 citations. So we're going to keep the court extremely busy this upcoming court day. So that's a lot. I know our prosecutor's sitting here and he's thinking, "Oh boy, thanks a lot, Pritchard." But it's summertime's coming, and there's a lot of people on the road, and I really do. I have seen increased traffic in Hollywood Park because of all the construction. Unfortunately, we are seeing an increased traffic load. So we're really working STEP and that overtime program to kind of curtail some of that. And folks that don't live in Hollywood Park, they're learning Hollywood Park rules pretty quick. So, yeah, a lot of citations. So out of that number, we generally, you'll see an uptick in the narcotics because you'll find stuff in the cars when you start pulling them over. So that kind of attributes to that number being a little bit higher. Everything else is kind of in line and in tune with what we expect. I feel really, really good about our offense category. We're still at single-digit numbers, so that's a great thing for Hollywood Park and for the police department. Next slide. Again, numbers about where we expect to see them. I do want to make a comment about our alarms, our residential alarms and business. We track those because there is an ordinance that if you get more than 3 alarm calls within a year, then that's when you start incurring charges, and I believe it's $50 at a time. That's why you see that alarm feed at the bottom. We collect from people that have these alarms that say they're faulty, or we get a lot of false alarms, and our officers have to keep going to the same house over and over for these false alarms. So you get 3 in a year, and then after that we start charging. So that's why we track those numbers, and that's why you'll see that alarm fee down at the bottom. It's called excessive alarm fee. Next slide. So we did our DEA take back. For us, this is a slow year. For most cities, this is a record year. So we had 331 pounds of unwanted, unused drugs turned in here in Hollywood Park. Normally, we see about a 600 to 700 pound haul. I am extremely happy still with over 300 pounds. That's a whole lot of unused medications that we're not going to be dealing with. So I'm still happy about it. We generally get in the top 3 every year. So we got a late start this year. We didn't get notified till late that this was going on, but still feel really good about that, and we're going to continue to do it.
Chief,
yes.
can I point out that
Absolutely.
The unwanted and returned drugs were not all from Hollywood Park residents. Right. We are a clearinghouse for a much larger area So the 600-700 pound goal.
That's great. That's a great point.
I just think it toned that down a little bit there. Okay.
When we decided to do that program, it was because there was a need in this area. So that is correct. We are a great centralized northern area. So that's true. Okay. All right. So moving on. And believe it or not, it's not just some of those are vitamins and just, things of that nature. So it's not all bad news. Anyhow, we did our auction this past Friday, so I just want to say thanks to Janice and her crew, and Jeff and everyone involved in Public Works. I mean, it took a pretty big effort to just physically put this thing on. We didn't have a great return, but a lot of folks got a heck of a deal because many of these bids went for $1. So a lot of stuff was sold really, really cheap, and we're okay with that. We got rid of it and got it out of our hands. But thank you for everyone involved in that, and we got rid of a lot of good stuff. So I hope somebody got something they really needed. Next slide. Okay, so just want to make the council aware. I've got a few personnel issues. We have a retirement at the end of next month. It's really bittersweet. I love this man with all my heart. And Lieutenant Williams is actually going to retire.
No.
And I'm sorry to put him on the spot out here and put his business out here, but it's that important that we recognize him. We're certainly going to have another party to recognize him, but I wanted to make sure the council knew, so we're going to be dealing with this. And
allowed to?
Well, I denied it, and the mayor denied it, but he'll probably just call in sick now. So, and in addition, we've also lost our admin assistant, Gina. She is no longer with us, so we're filling that position. And I also have 2 officers out on a medical issue. So I'm in uniform. So I'm your 4th man, and that's okay. We'll get through it, but just want to let you know we're going to have a few challenges for the next couple of months, but we'll do our best. I do have 2 part-timers right now that are working 32 hours a week for us to help fill that gap. So they're contributing very well for us. So I appreciate their efforts. So we'll get through it, but just know that we are gonna have a few issues, and we're gonna do our best to keep up. Okay. All right.
Thank you, Chief.
You bet.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Are you? I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. Hey, it's a great day to be in Hollywood Park. I'll take your questions. Thank you, guys.
And I've never really noticed it before, but what are the miscellaneous calls? What are those?
So basically, they're in a category like criminal mischief or something that wouldn't fall in the. It happens so rarely that we're not gonna count it. So it could be something as simple as a graffiti. We might see one a year. So it's not worth putting it on the list. But because it falls under the offense category, I have to list it on here that an offense happened, but it's under miscellaneous. So if that makes sense to you. Because there's probably about 20 of those different. That I want to put 20 of them on this page for you, but I have to list it because it happened.
And the patrol buys are when people call and say they're going out of town. And
absolutely.
Gotcha.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
All right, Kelly, you have the floor.
All right. So, month of April, if you looked at the Voight Center rental log, it was kind of down. April seems to be one of our lighter months. May has just exploded in numbers next month. I mean, I've got 2 weeks, we beat that number right there. So we'll see those numbers come back up. My guys have been incredibly busy. Down at the park, we've got swim seasons opened up, swim teams there, open all the weekends for swim. Guys are busy. Grass is growing like crazy. We've had a lot of thunderstorms. So guys are working their tails off trying to keep things going, keep Holly's events going, all that kind of good stuff. I want to give a special shout out to Jesse. He came in and worked with the Humane Society. I couldn't make it that day. He stepped up, said he'll come in and take care of it. The firefighters and Jesse, great team. I appreciate the other departments coming to the MS4 training. We'll be doing it again. I'm going to put it out to all the citizens. It's good training. It's just knowledge on runoff water and how to control it and different things that are going to affect our water sources. So we did that. Other one, code log, it's a little bit lower than normal, but we've been dealing with some pretty specialized issues, which is taking Gavin from being out there working and out driving around. He's having to spend a lot of time working with Ryan's office we've got 3 major things going on right now. And you know, I'll talk to y'all about that separately if y'all want, just because I think it's still under investigation on a lot of them, and we don't want to get that out there. That's pretty much it. You know, May is crazy. You'll see lots of better numbers.
Right. Thank you.
Again, if you'll thank Jesse on behalf of the Humane Society for us, that'd be great.
I will pass that on to him.
Okay.
No. Jesse just decided he was going to take care of the whole thing.
Kelly, any progress on that Rutamata house?
That's one of the major ones.
That's one of the ones we can't talk about.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
It's all right. Thank you, Kelly. Jeff, would you like to provide the financial report?
Evening, Mayor and Council. I just want to point out some highlights in the revenue side of it. We're 58% through the year. The sales tax, even though it's lower this time, it's been the last 2 months, we're still at 74%. I expect it to go back up to the numbers it was for the last 2 months. The Voight building is already 103% of what was budgeted, and we're only in the 7th month of the year, so it is really going gangbusters. And the last one is, if you turn the page on page 23, our interest is $45,000, 647% above budget, but it's $45,000 during 7 months of the year, so it ought to come in about $82,000, which would be really well. And that's important because when you made the budget, you zeroed it out without that interest, only $7,000 of it. So it ought to be a pretty good year for the city. I want to point out a couple of things on the expense side. If you look at the page 24, which is administration, you see they're at 50% of budget. But if you turn to the next page, 25, you'll see that municipal courts is 66%. As I said last time, they're sharing labor because of one's being out. When I average these two together, it's only 53%. So they're still 5% below what needed to be. One other thing I wanted to point out, I've started going through accounts, and I'll just give you an example of what I'm doing. Going through them, if you turn to page 26 and you look down to where it says under contracts and services telephone, you'll see that the amount budgeted was $4,920 and the amount year to date is $7,700. I started looking at these accounts to see what's happening. That is a result of, in the middle of the year last year, the phone bill going from $400 to $1,400. So I'm going to talk to AT&T and find out why they changed differently. I don't know whether we came off a state program or they took us off or whatever. But it looks like everything in there is the same, all the options, but it's just went up that much. So those are what I'm doing in all these items. Revenues that are over or under, expenses that are over or seriously under, I always look at because that means that, some could be in prepaid and items like that. And I'm starting to move them in so we have a set of good financial statements for the budget, okay, accurate year to date. And I'll answer any questions or investigate anything you do at that point in time. That's all I have on it.
All right.
I have a question. On the telephone bill, is that for mobile or landlines?
That is the main number, the 4942023.
Really? That
the
much
state
money?
has a program that cities get on with AT&T to where they get really low rates. And for this to happen, I have to get the answer from AT&T, but it looks like it was taken off of the state program. Because all cities can contract on the state contracts for these entities, and that's what it looks like. But I will find out.
And I'm sure we'll get a refund if that's the case.
Yeah.
Hey, Jeff.
That might be. Yes, sir.
Under building improvements, I see that it's $7,500 in the red. What is that? Page 26.
Yes, I know that. I will have to investigate that for you. It's probably something that was an emergency, like an air conditioner or something else we had to deal with. Anytime it's over budget like that, there's items that you don't have time to get any kind of amendments for and items like that, but I will check that for you and have an answer for you next time.
Okay.
But by the same token, when something like that happens, unless we go, which is what the actual state says we go over budget, seriously, unless there's a major one, I will not do any amendments because if you look in your financial statements they compare them, and when you have too many amendments and changes between the ending budget and the beginning budget, that's not good for rating agencies and other things. So we will minimize it as much as possible.
Very good.
Thank you.
I have a question. On page 31, under contracts/services, there's 4 items that we budgeted for, and we haven't spent any of that at all. So one's water and electric, gas, telephone.
This is for the pool. I mean, when the pool gets going. Okay, right now, and this is what's happened since Voight Center was going. Like when the pool was actually being used by the teams that were practicing, all the charges have been going to Voight Center. I'm looking at this right now because we have 3 funds Voight Center's in. We got the recreation and all in the general fund. We got the venue tax that pays for the bonds, which could fund all of the Voight Center if need be. But we also have part of hotel tax going over. So what I'm looking at is the best way to maximize council's flexibility so these venue funds and hotel funds, which can't be used except for certain things, can fund the Voight Center like that, and it frees up to where the pool comes out and everything comes out and goes into the Voight Center, either that fund or the venue fund or however we want to do it, whichever would be best for the city. The pool has to be there because your bond issue also paid for the pool renovation. So the pool becomes part of that. Otherwise, that part of the bond that was the pool's part would have to be paid somewhere else. Okay. So that is part of the venue and the venue fund. And what I think I'm going to do is actually leave the venue fund together, move the hotel motel tax to take care of that, and move the pool in with it, and any extra expenses there are in the venue tax can take care of because it's allowed to take care of operating expenses also.
So
and that frees up your general fund.
So that will still be spent. Is that? It's just that will still be spent. That the money that we've budgeted for it, it's coming later. Once the pool gets operational?
Oh yes, those expenses will come in then.
Okay.
Here's the thing though, it was done earlier this year, and usually from what I could tell, they were done and split once the pool came into effect. But the pool came into effect earlier this year, so we have 2 choices. We can take money; it's in one place, the Voice Center. We can move it all over there now, okay, to the pool and stuff to the Voice Center and run it from there, since they're so interconnected. Or you can just split them half and half, but there's no way, since they're certain, the electricity's going to both of them, there's no way to actually split it unless you split it in half or something like that. It's hard to do. I've been looking at how it's been done, and in my mind, the best way we budget next year is to move it into the Voight Center Fund, the whole complex, so that everything is there, subsidize it if it needs to be from the venue fund after you've already transferred hotel motel tax in, and have the revenue in there, the pool revenue. That way, you have maximized your ability and flexibility on monies in the general fund, where you can do whatever you want to with, and these other ones that are so specialized, you can't. And that'll still leave, the venue fund will still have a tremendous amount of money left over.
Yeah, because it's exceeding expectations, isn't it? The venue fund.
Hey Jeff, I noticed there's quite a few things in here that are I don't want to say glaring, but quite a few deals that are in the red. Is there a way to go in and figure out what all these are?
I am doing it right now.
Okay.
It just takes time, because what I have to do is go in and look at what happened before, like on that AT&T, and see where it was put, where it wasn't put. And if you look at your financial state this year, there's a lot of due tos and due froms that shouldn't have been there, should have been cleaned out.
Right.
So all that stuff is being done. By the time we start budget, this will be exactly where it is. Now that said, we may have some accounts over and some under, okay, because they're misclassified. A lot of people think, oh, we have budget here, we'll put it here. But it will be correct in that sense. And next year when we budget, we'll know exactly where our operating expenses are.
Okay. Like some of these things like machinery or whatever that's in here, that would be good to know at budget. So.
Well, yes, and what is in them, and I realize, I mean, for me, I have to do it too. I have to go through and look through them, but it takes time because you're going through each individual item.
Sure.
And, there's a lot of accounts. There's probably in the whole system, probably about 4,000 accounts. So I will concentrate on the general fund, but I am going through them one by one.
Great. Thanks for your help.
Jeff, is that the same thing with supplies? Is that going to be redesignated supplies?
Yeah, when you do the
right now, you're not
budget
using any supplies. Right now, you're not using any supplies according to these numbers.
The supplies, it depends. You have supplies account in every department and stuff like that. And it just depends. Some of these accounts should actually be consolidated. You shouldn't have supplies accounts in a general thing, like a general government. Supplies are ordered by people. There should be accountability. So it should be in the departments, where the supplies are used. And that way you have accountability on all the accounts. When people do actual accounting systems, they just put numbers in for the departments, and they copy and paste all of the different accounts in there. A lot of times, this is the first time I actually printed one for you that had 0 accounts in it. Most of the time I don't, only if it has numbers. But I wanted to show you a lot of these accounts may never be used because they just copy and paste in department, and you don't use them and because they're there. But that's the easiest way to do it, as opposed to individually putting in an account, each time and putting favorite department.
So come next budget meeting here, we're not going to have to worry about a lot of these supplies, contract services,
No,
because you'll
what I'm gonna
consolidate
do-
all those to the general
no,
fund?
I'm going to check the ones and what they are and the ones that need to be invalid, make sure everything's classified. And then what I'll do when I print them out, I'll print out no accounts with 0. And if they have 0 like that, you won't be cluttered up with that. All you have is accounts that actually have amounts spent in them, or in the revenue side, amounts that we actually received. And that's what we will do. We won't be messing with this right now.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Jeff. Janice, do you have anything you'd like to share?
I do, Mayor. I'd like to let the council know that we had, for the month of April, we had 480 cases on the docket, and so God bless Ryan and the and the other prosecutor and the judge, because they're coming in fast and furious. One kind of plus in our favor, and Shad is right. He, bless his heart, is very busy these days. Right now, in the interim, he has hired a temporary person to oversee the police secretary position, and she just happens to be the person that I hired during the interim when one of my ladies was out on maternity leave. Therefore, she is very she's very familiar with permits and court, because she's done them at other cities before. So the one great thing that Shad and I got together and we'll be very happy about, now the prosecutor will be very happy, is in our court next month we'll have 3 windows open for the first time. We'll have those 2 ladies plus her. So with 2 prosecutors and a judge going full-time here, we're finally going to be able to match them person to person out there. So that'll be a nice plus for us. So thank you, Shad, for allowing us to use her for that. That's going to be lovely. Like I said, we had 480 violations, cases actually on the docket last month. We had a total of 303 new cases that were filed and brought in a total of $35,782. On our inspections also for the month of April, we had a total of 102 new inspections. And when we say 102, those are new inspections, or permits rather. That doesn't include the reviews. It doesn't include the inspections that we're still working on. But those are the new permits that came in also for that month. And I'm sorry, Jeff, if you'll go ahead and display our, please. We had a great time at Cinco de Mayo. We had a booth there, and so that was a lot of fun. The ladies and I got together. We had snow cones and sangria, and we sold out of snow cones, as a matter of fact, and sangria. And we'd like to thank the chief and the fire department, because thank you, Chief, for all your help in helping us with the stand and breaking it down, and also Kelly and his guys. We had a great time. We were sweating like crazy, but you didn't notice if you drank a lot of sangria, so that was great. Also, of course, as Chief mentioned, those were the winners of the walk-off, and even though the ladies did submit also a recipe, we were robbed, but congratulations to the fire department and to Holly's son. So we had a really good time. And just on another note, doesn't my friend look nice tonight in his suit and tie?
Yes, he does.
That's all I have here.
All right. Thank you, Janice. I think we had a lot of events the last few weeks. I wanted to thank Ryan again also for stepping in at the sudden passing of our attorney, Michael Brennan, and we'll recognize him in next month's meeting and in a more official manner. And I was able to get former city attorney Michael Bernard to approve our agenda, but he did not choose to be present tonight, and I appreciate you coming. And he will be missed in the quality of service he provided. And that's all I have to share with regards to that. So we go to the consent agenda. Anyone like to move to approve our consent agenda?
I have one comment on that. I wasn't here at the April meeting because I was in Australia, but I did watch it, so I'll vote on it. But I would like one little tweak on there. Under new business, number 1B, it was the garage sale discussion. And, I think that I would like to add, made the motion to have the city attorney amend the current ordinance, but I wanted to say, and come back to council to be adopted, because I want a chance to not adopt that and get one of you three to change your mind. So I don't want it to be, is it a done deal, or when it comes back to us, we can still adopt or not adopt?
Actually, because of the delicate situation, which our city attorney at the time was going to be drafting that, he did not have a chance to draft it before his passing. So we're essentially at a blank slate. So it would be up to you all to decide if you wanted the new city attorney to go ahead and draft something for approval or not.
Well, can we make that tweak? Because that is what happened in
if y'all are amenable, I am, sure.
Up here, it's on the recording that it was to come back to council to be adopted. Can we just add those words?
Sure. Is that okay with everybody? Actually, the vote, I don't know if you listened to the tape, the vote was to
send it to the
amend
attorney.
the motion to send to the attorney
And have him come back.
Develop an ordinance that stated that there would be no garage sales during the annual HOA garage sale.
And then come back to it, and
Yeah,
but
he
it
would have
said
to draft it,
come
and you have to
back
bring it
to
back.
council to adopt. Was that language was in the recording?
Yeah, of course, you'd have to bring it back because y'all would have to approve it. Yeah. And if you all are amenable, I can add those words in there. It's up to you all.
Yeah, the motion that was approved was to amend it.
Mm-hmm. Which it says there.
All right.
And then
So is that okay with everyone?
I would like to see that happen. I voted against it. I didn't even get a chance to vote, to be honest with you.
Well, I put that in there.
Yes.
Council member, I did.
I felt that taking away someone's right to get a free permit, out of 52 weekends out of the year, and all of a sudden you're saying, no, now you have to pay. We know the benefits of paying to get on that map because it is the best thing for you. I was unfortunate, like I said last meeting.
No,
I
I
missed
understand.
it.
We just don't have it on the topic today
Right.
to discuss it, but I can certainly add the verbiage that
Yes,
you
I
request on there.
would like that because it was on the recording. Sure. I'm not making it up.
No.
And then I did not come to the special meeting where y'all did the election certification, and I didn't listen to it, so I guess I'll abstain from that. So if we can break out the two.
Okay.
Does that work?
Sure.
Okay, so then I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the regular council meeting as amended, as discussed, and to accept the financial statements as of April 30, 2019.
Do I have a second?
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carries. And would
Okay.
someone make a
The other one?
move to approve the minutes of the special meeting?
Can I move if I'm abstaining? I can still make the motion, right?
Yeah, you can make the motion.
Okay, so I'll move to approve the minutes of the special council meeting of May 13, 2019.
I second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I'll abstain.
All right. Thank you.
Oh,
All right, now for citizen participation, we have two residents who have signed up to speak. And I have Lorraine, is it Waters? Yes. Would you please come up and announce your name and your address, and you have 2 minutes to share your thoughts and ideas with us. Thank you.
I don't know. Can you hear me through this? I'm Lorraine Waters. I live at 359 Danella Drive, and I'm here to express my concerns about the council looking at the management of the Voight Center, turning it over to outside management. Now, I feel like that's taking the center away from the citizens, because these outside managers, they're here to, first of all, it was Anne Marie Catering that came forward, and if they're managing, if you rent it, you're going to pay you're going to have to buy their food, their whole package usually. And that gets very expensive. And also, when they market it, there's not going to be any dates left for the citizens. We're going to be left out of it. It's like taking it away from us who are, we're the taxpayers. I feel like that's our center. And so that's what I'm here for, is to ask you all to, please consider that the Boyd Center is here for the citizens and not, because when they go into, especially when he started talking about wedding venues, people, they plan this a year and a half, 2 years ahead. There would never be a weekend available for us because they've booked it, because they're out there to, like he said, they're out there to market it. And it's basically taking the Boyd Center away from the citizens of Hollywood Park. And I happened to be at the Boyd Center when the man was there looking around. I was there with Kelly, who was setting up for I had rented it for a birthday party, and he was there setting up. He did a great job. He was wonderful to work with, and our event went off very well, and thanks to you. And so that's why I'm, trying to convince all of you, and thank you for responding to my letter.
Thank you. Thank you very much for speaking up. I appreciate that. We also have Linda Phillips. Please come forward, Linda.
I would like to address the sales tax issue. Linda Phillips, 7 Ashford Glen. Just real briefly, this is something that's been talked about, I remember under Bob Sarter's, Debbie, you probably remember too. So this is not new. I'm glad that we're finally able to do this. But it's going to take, and I'm sure you know this, I'm just going to give you a few suggestions, more than just, gaveling and passing something. People are going to have to see, like if we could get some financial stuff, sounds like we have a wonderful treasurer, projections or what comes the first few months after this. Oh, this is worth me changing my address on Amazon or Wayfair or whatever the case may be. General reminders and emails a couple times a year, maybe, putting it in the Sparks. When we do the emails, don't forget to change your clocks. Tack on, at a time like that or something of this nature. But I'm glad we're going forward with this. Thank you very much for your work on this.
Oh, thank you. All right. I think thank you all for participating and being here. We have no old business to discuss. And under new business, number 1, we discuss take possible action on requesting a resolution and an RFP for banking services for the town of Hollywood Park. Jeff, you've been working on that.
Council, under state law, every 5 years, a municipality has to go out for a depository of banking services. You can choose whatever bank you want, but it's required for you to do that because, number 1, you get upgraded policies and items like that with the bank, as opposed to 10 years where you don't upgrade any kind of standards that you need. What I need from you is to approve us going out for banking services. But since we do not have a bank in our city limits, this resolution needs to be adopted. It has a policy that needs to be adopted. The resolution needs to be approved that the council says we are going outside the city limits for a bank, and it's in the best interest of the public to do that. That's required of any city that wants to go out, whether you have a bank in your city limits or not. But we do not. We still have to do this. Just to let you know what the process is, once we get this done, and I gave you an example. We sent it to you by email. This is the actual banking RFP. It's like 30 pages. And I just put dates in it, makeshift dates to show you where the dates would go once we get started. But we have to put an advertisement, the law says, in a statewide financial paper or publication. Well, since there are none of those, most attorneys say you can put one like San Antonio's Express News because it goes around the county. That has to be put in there. At the same time, you put your bank RFP on your website, and people can request it too, that we will give it to them or send it to them. After we receive back at a certain time, we will put together a 3-person or 4-person, 5-person, whatever we want kind of panel to actually go through each one of the bank's request for proposals they sent back, and we rate them based on points. There's certain points we do. They also have the cost they're going to charge us in there. It tells the responsibility about backing us up with bonds. It references the investment policy, what can and can't be done. So it's very detailed. Once one is chosen, okay, the panel comes to council and says, this is who we recommend. That does not mean you have to pick the person. You don't have to pick the bank that's the lowest cost or anything like that. You can pick the one that is best for the city. But it's easier that way if we actually have the point system, so you can see what, based on the point system we have in here, what order they would be in. It's a process that lasts a while. It'll probably last 30 days before we even get them back. Now, I can probably do it in a week if I have get a couple of people and we go down and actually sit on a panel and rate these. But the actual transfer from one depository to another will probably take a couple of months because you have to go out and get new checks. You have to go out and get all of those items. All the contracts, including this one, I don't really know what the one Frost said before, says that they're required to stay your bank until all of this happens. And we switch over to another one. But it's not going to be a short, change. And I'm hoping to get it done by the next fiscal year, have it done by September 30th, so we go to the next fiscal year with a new banking institution. There are some in town that I found out that actually have city experience besides the large ones or smaller ones. I'm going to go out and see if a credit union wants to actually do it, because most credit unions don't have the capacity to go out and buy bonds, put them in escrow in our name, and sit there and just hold them for a while. But I want to let anybody who wants to put in the request for proposal so that we can look at it, because you really don't know who would be the best and who wouldn't be the best.
Thank you.
Questions on it?
I dare ask a question.
Ryan, if I read the description of the resolution and a council member moves to pass it, is that the first step in going?
Yeah, you need to make a motion to approve this particular resolution. If you just read the caption, that'll qualify with the motion in second.
Okay. The resolution adopting a written policy authorizing the town of Hollywood Park to accept applications for primary depository bank services from eligible financial institutions not doing business within the city and providing an effective date. That's the resolution that should be voted on.
Someone needs to make a motion to approve or not approve.
Do we have to have citizen comments or anything?
If there are any citizen comments about this resolution, please speak up. Okay.
Okay. So I will move to adopt the resolution requesting an RFP for banking services for the town of Hollywood Park. Did I say that correctly?
No. It's adopting a resolution. The resolution adopting a written policy authorizing you to go outside of Hollywood Park.
Boundary.
Okay.
City banks that are not doing business within the city.
Okay. Can I so move?
Yeah, just say so move.
Okay. I so move.
Okay.
Do we have a second?
I second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. That carries. Now we can move on. The next item was to take possible action on requesting an RFP for banking services for the town of Hollywood Park.
Oh, we have to do that one too?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, now I so move on that.
All right. Do I have a second?
I second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 2, discuss take possible action on amending the Hollywood Park ordinance on sign regulation on private property. I'm going to move this item to the back of the agenda because it's an element of the executive session, even though it's just a part of that in the interest of time. And I'm going to go to number 3. And this is Michael Howe's opportunity to shine. This is to discuss, take possible action on an awareness effort to influence accurate sales tax revenue for Hollywood Park, like Linda Phillips was speaking about.
Yes, and I'd like to thank Linda Phillips because it was her idea that I started jumping on this. Because of that, we're looking not only just sales tax dollars in telecommunications. You can hit the next slide. But I wanted to start this campaign calling it 100% Hollywood Park. You've moved here, you live here, but your sales tax dollars are going to San Antonio or Hill Country Village. And this is a rather big chunk of money. So right now, currently our zip code is split up between 3 different tax jurisdictions: Hill Country Village, San Antonio, and of course Hollywood Park. When you go to receive your phone bills, your mobile phone, your telecommunication, internet, your land-based lines, cable TV, Sirius XM, and I don't know how many people stream at all, their video, Netflix, Hulu, anything like that. All of that, there is a sales tax that is charged, state sales tax, and 2% is supposed to come to Hollywood Park. Now, I just got on the phone with Netflix before coming to this meeting because they don't even ask for my address. They just ask for my zip code and my credit card. I don't see a bill unless I go into my account and look at it, but it only breaks it down sales tax is what it says. So I asked them, well, where is the sales tax going? What's your zip code? They said San Antonio, Texas. So you have to write a letter to Netflix to get that money, okay, corrected to the right municipality. So the bottom line on this is that's just telecommunications. I looked at my phone bills, okay, my mobile phone, my internet, and my Sirius XM, and I use myself as an example, okay. I didn't include the streaming revenue because I have MLB, I have Hulu, I have Netflix, I have BritBox, I have Acorn TV. All of those charge an independent sales tax, okay, which 2% is supposed to come to Hollywood Park, but it's not. That would bring an additional, I multiplied by about 1,300 homes, okay. I don't have the right exact number, and that's $50,000. Okay, just that alone, that we are giving up. Not all of it, because some of the telecommunication companies have it right. All right, they have it going to Hollywood Park, but you need to make sure. You need to call up. You need to talk to them. Don't try to do it online. Sirius XM, I did it online. It takes Hollywood Park 78232. You save it, boom. You look back at the screen, San Antonio, Texas. So I literally had to call them up. They switched it over to Hollywood Park. Okay, now that is like Netflix. I'm charged $1.27 in sales tax a month for Netflix. Sling TV is $2.27. So I don't know how many people use Sling TV, but there's a sales tax on that as well. So not just telecommunications, though. There's been a lot of things happening since Linda and I talked almost a year ago about this. Last June, if you can click the slide, please, beep, as we used to say in high school, South Dakota versus Wayfair. This was the biggie. This is all of your online sales that from out-of-state suppliers or vendors that do not have a presence in the state of Texas. So what this means is the Supreme Court ruled back in June that yes, a state can charge sales tax if it is not cumbersome, it's not a burden on the supplier or the retailer, okay? So, for instance, in the case of South Dakota, Wayfair did not have an office, they didn't have salespeople, they didn't have a distribution center in the state of South Dakota. But South Dakota proved that it wasn't a problem because of what they've done. They did a flat sales tax, okay, for local local sales tax, use tax, and also they made a safe harbor. So an online retailer that does less than $100,000 in North Dakota does not have to pay sales tax. But somebody like Amazon and Wayfair that does over $100,000 would have to pay sales tax. Now, the state of Texas has the same thing. We have a safe harbor as well. That safe harbor is $500,000. We have just a little bit more population than the state of South Dakota. So that's why the dollar amount is higher. However, what this will bring to the state of Texas is $550 million in revenue to the books for the next 2 years with the passage of House Bill 2153 and House Bill 1525. Next slide, please. So House Bill 2153 simplifies the single local tax rate for remote sellers. The single local tax rate will be 1.75%. So, now currently we're at 2% on our sales tax here. And we were getting $0 for people that were out of state that were selling into Texas. So beginning October 1st, they will be collecting automatically a 1.75% on these online retailers. So Amazon, eBay, all of those people will be collecting that 1.75%, which will come to Hollywood Park. It will end at December 31st, and then the controller will then publish again next year for the calendar year what the local tax rate will be. Now, this is just to simplify it so that, there's over 1,600 tax jurisdictions in the state of Texas. By simplifying it, it makes it easier to collect it, and it's people like Amazon, eBay will be the ones that will be collecting that and sending the report to the controller's office. So we will get our money, but there's a catch to that. You have to override Postal Service, you have to override FedEx, and you have to override UPS when you're ordering online for companies that are like eBay and whatever. You cannot let it automatically populate to San Antonio. It's a little bit of effort, but you can override it because my Amazon account has Hollywood Park on it. Next slide, please. By the way, this did pass. I'm sorry, the next one. Next one, please. Here it is. This current bill here, 1525, first of all, 2153, sorry about that. 2153, the last slide, it just passed on the 17th. It spent 6 days on the governor's desk, and it was just approved. So that's the first half of what we need to get the sales tax dollars here, okay? The next slide is a sale of a taxable item made by a marketplace seller through a marketplace is consummated at the location in this state to which the item is shipped, delivered, or which possession is taken place by the purchaser. So what that means is, by this simplifying all the rules, when it comes to your house, that's where the sales tax is being charged to. However, if you are saying you live in San Antonio gets the money. If you put Hollywood Park down, that report is generated by, whether it be Amazon, eBay, Etsy, Walmart Online. Walmart Online has a marketplace, okay? That's not just everything being sold by by Walmart. They actually have people that post stuff. I work with certain customers that have toys on Walmart that Walmart doesn't carry, but they're selling it on Walmart's platform. So that's the key here, all right? Now, there's other things like delivery apps. Delivery apps like Favor. Favor is, you can go to the next slide. Favor is a on-demand delivery company based out of Austin, Texas. However, they offer everything from furniture to anything that somebody doesn't deliver. It doesn't have to be stores. It's restaurants and stores. So if they don't have delivery service, they give it to you within an hour. Okay, this is, and of course, the orders are placed through their app, but then their self-employed couriers transport them to your house. As of February, HEB bought these people out. So HEB, being the largest private employer in Texas, we will still be getting a sales tax because they are picking up merchandise and delivering it, and the place where it is sold is where it was delivered to. So this particular case, we will get the sales tax dollars. Uber Eats, Grubhub, places like that. Those are websites that we would also be getting the sales tax dollars. Now, this current bill was sent to the governor on May 14th to sign. The last bill, what I mentioned, took 6 days to sign. So I'm expecting this one to be signed by this week. And, of course, I think Monday is the closing of the current House session. So that is another way. And if they pass the 1.75%, I got to think they're going to go with this one, which is you get the sales tax dollars to wherever where the product was delivered. And that's why it's so important to make sure when you're ordering online, and I don't know how many people order online, but I could tell you what my wife did for Christmas really hurt, the checkbook. But a lot of it was ordered online. So the next slide, please. So knowledge is power, and we need to educate our citizens about their telecommunication bills and online orders. So besides Sparks and Get Connected, shall we do a mailer to all homes in Hollywood Park to let them know not everybody is online, not everybody gets Get Connected? And I feel that if we can put something together, I'll be more than happy to write something in Sparks. And I'm addressing this to the council. How can we get this out there? Because this is big dollars. And starting October 1st, that $1.75 for some little guy, okay, that's got his business going to Amazon. He's using Amazon's platform. There are two types of third-party sellers on Amazon. There is the FBA type, which is fulfilled by Amazon, which is being shipped out of one of Amazon's fulfillment centers. And then there's also the guy that does it all by himself, who has his own shipping, his own packaging, and he's taking his own orders, but he's using the Amazon platform. So how do we get people is what besides the two ways I recommend, I also, maybe we can talk to the EDC because they also will benefit by the sales tax dollars that we'll be getting to do a mailer. But I like the idea that was mentioned earlier about maybe, every October, you have to change your battery in your fire alarm, okay, smoke detector. Why don't we do something like that to get people to realize that, you live in Hollywood Park, why are you funding San Antonio or Hill Country Village? We need to really get the sales tax dollars. And I would open this up for if you guys have any suggestions.
Thank you, Michael. It's a wonderful presentation. What about if we get it out right before the Christmas season, the holiday season, June,
Well,
July?
October 1st, I don't want to wait. October 1st is when they start collecting, okay? And one of the big things that Texas House does not want to see happen is the municipalities fighting over the sales tax dollars. And I could see us knocking on San Antonio's door. Hey, wait a minute, you owe us a lot of money. Now, Jeff, I think we need to do some jurisdiction drops regarding people like Netflix. When they tell you, it's getting sent to 78232, I told them, well, that's shared by 3 different jurisdictions. They were totally flabbergasted, okay? So I think we need to do I don't mind doing this homework, but I really think that we're missing this. And by picking up the out-of-state suppliers, okay, retailers, that's more money for Hollywood Park. So, but I would like to see if we can get requested. And I know we have to you have to be careful on what we say, and you can't repeat all this information because it's really confidential information. But I do believe there's quite a few people that are sending stuff to San Antonio.
I can talk to the comptroller and see what information I can get, okay, and actually look what the affidavit says.
Right.
Or we can put together stuff with categories without names and show what stuff is, because what you're really concerned about is the mail order and the delivery and those kind of items. So we can find out how much that really is, okay? The problem is, if Hollywood Park is low, it'll be low for us, And I'd like to see something generic on San Antonio, all the Bear County being, so we can see what that is percentage-wise, because that's the kind of, where it'd be coming from. And because on the bill, I thought the state was looking at, instead of going directly on the address on the outside stuff, was taking whatever sales tax you got last year out of the big pot of all the cities and dividing it out and getting a percentage.
Well, I talked to the controller's office today on this, and what they said is, one, we will see a noticeable increase coming. Was it 65 days after January, starting out the last quarter of the year? So we'll see that, I think, 65 days later or 50 days later, the report. Okay. However, they're talking about with the 1.75, there's reports that are sent in, okay? Like, for instance, San Antonio, Hollywood Park, Hill Country Village. When they send those reports in, this is what we got from Hollywood Park, this is what we got from San Antonio. So that's where I'm thinking that we need to get the people to change the address so we can make sure we get those sales tax dollars.
Well, I agree with that totally.
So,
to do it. But I was mainly talking about their calculation, what they said. The more tax Hollywood Park gets, the bigger the pot they're going to get, the 1.75.
Correct.
Okay? So all the small cities will probably be suffering under this for a while till stuff gets changed, because each year they look at the percentages, and if you are underrepresented because of people don't have the right address, you're not going to get your fair share of it.
well, that's why we're changing it, right?
You know.
And of course, their number one goal is to get the money for the state, and it's.
I will tell you this: we can calculate if I do it. Okay, I got to watch what the affidavit says, but I will be able to calculate what is sold online and stuff like that comes in. Okay, because Amazon themselves charge the tax. You know, because
Yes.
they charge tax right now because they have a presence. And when you look at that, you can actually find out there's things that show how much sales in addition to Amazon come through Amazon from all the rest of them.
Right, and they had three ways. And Amazon's been paying sales tax in the state of Texas since 2011. However, the people that are on that platform that don't live in Texas weren't getting charged sales tax. So you can buy two different items for Amazon, two different bills. One's got sales tax, one doesn't have sales tax, because it's where it's being shipped from. If it's shipping in the state of Texas, okay, then you're going to be charged sales tax. And it's going to be the regular 2%, by the way, for Hollywood Park. It's just these outside state people that have no representation, okay, we will be getting 1.75%.
And that's a big deal, because a lot of people, when they pull them up and look at those two things, and it says Amazon's doing here, but you know you can get this one without doing the sales tax, they still send it.
Right.
They pick it over time.
So,
8% difference.
any other recommendations on how we can get the word out?
You know, it's such an obvious fit with the business angle of the EDC and the business objectives that we should be able to seek their participation with a mailer or with a promotional piece. Wouldn't you think?
Social media too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and social
absolutely.
media. Linda Phillips, did you have another?
Yeah, get connected and the Facebook page and, oh yeah, you have it on there. Oh, and
There are going to
next
be
door.
some people, when you say override, huh? Well, no, seriously,
Right,
like
I
my
understand.
age group on up.
I understand.
And if it takes a phone call to Netflix,
Right.
I mean, we're going to need to, like, this is what you have to do for Netflix.
Yes.
You know, I mean, overriding and just putting in Hollywood Park, that's pretty easy. But the rest of it,
Right. And with Netflix, there's no phone number. It's the
Right.
address where you have to send it to.
Yeah.
You know, a letter.
So yeah, every one of those different.
Right.
Okay.
And so, I mean, unfortunately, I work out of my house when I'm not traveling. So I can, work late at night
Mm-hmm.
and get an hour to kill doing something else. And I was on the phone with the controller today state controller for about an hour. And the lady was just, boom, she had all the information I needed. I was verifying both bills,
Mm-hmm.
and she said that we should see an incredible jump. Okay.
And then for people to go to this extra, like on Netflix, they need to be able to see, some of the projections or some of what we get in the next year.
I think what you can see is what our sales tax revenue will be.
But that's not publicized. That's what I'm saying in some of these mailers or something, or in the emails or something on the website. We need to be able to show people, wow.
Yeah, I think, but
Wow
I would
effect.
like to see if we can do something. I don't know if we can bring up what's going to happen in February when we get the notice what happened for December.
Right.
Christmas season, Hanukkah season, what kind of sales dollars was generated, sales tax dollars were generated just in that December month versus 2018. So
Yeah, it's streets.
that's
Streets.
If I could make a suggestion, she's correct about people not doing it. You could do write letters. The Netflix to send out to everybody a pre-written letter. Just
There
like
you
they do
go.
when they
That's a
send
good
to
idea.
teachers and stuff.
Perfect.
Perfect idea.
And other ones might be harder with calls, but at least you can give some instructions, and that way, if you have to make it as easy as possible.
Jeff?
Were you going to say something, sir?
I was going to add in, does this also apply to small businesses out here that are part of Hollywood Park?
Oh, well, the small businesses that are part of Hollywood Park should already be paying a sales tax.
Well, I mean, like when they purchase something for their business, when they're purchasing goods for their business, does that matter?
Well, a lot of them will be tax exempt, if I'm not mistaken. They have a business license, right?
It's a pass-through.
Yeah.
It depends on if
They'd
it's
be tax exempt if they're
resale or not.
If they're buying merchandise, but otherwise they would pay tax on the other things.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So I mean, I would think that they're out there as well. I don't know how it fits in with the house bills and stuff, but great idea. Appreciate you guys taking that initiative, and I think social media is a great way. Also, our website. If there's a way to get some type of just recording with iPads or phones or something and put on the website if it's legal.
It'd be like even templates of letters and whatnot. Yeah.
And maybe citizens have to volunteer some of that to help, but I mean, there's probably ways that we could do that.
Yeah. I agree. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor. Mr. Howell, can you talk to me afterwards? The EDC actually is already looking at something with relation to the sales tax designation.
I gave them a presentation. That's why we're doing this.
No, this is a different thing.
Oh, because
but they tie together.
I talked with Mike about this, and he was quite excited about the fact that he didn't even realize that what was happening on some of the stuff. But yeah, he was quite excited about it.
There's some other things that it's actually bigger than kind of what you're talking about.
Okay.
But it has to do with the designations, and there are several designations that we need to make sure are proper at the comptroller's level.
Mhm.
But it takes the locals at the local level to actually make sure that occurs. So if we're going to be doing something like that, we should loop all of it in together.
Would this be something that would affect, would the citizens of Hollywood Park have to do, is what you're...
Some of them, yes.
Okay, all right.
You're being very cryptic.
Yes.
I can't say too much more
problem.
until it's ready to come out.
If we lower the cone of silence.
Excuse me, my shoe is ringing.
Yes.
Mike, I think one of the things where you're posting, if you post on the Nextdoor or on the Hollywood Park website and stuff, I think you also need to put a little clause in there encouraging neighbors to help neighbors. Like I will go next door to my little 94-year-old neighbor and say, let's walk through this stuff and see what all you have and help her because, she doesn't have a computer. And so we just need to encourage neighbors to help neighbors.
Yeah, and I'm sure she has a phone, so that's something that we can, it all adds up, and the more the merrier.
Yeah.
I guess to fulfill this item on the agenda, if we are going to, we've discussed possible action on an awareness effort, and does anyone want to move that is there an actionable item?
Is there anything we have to do?
No, I don't think there's anything. I just was trying to get ideas on how we can get this out there. Okay, so I don't think there's one. I like the fact we can do Sparks. I like the social media, and I love the pre-written letter. Okay, a template that could be used. Put the companies, one for each company. Okay, I just want to make sure that we know this because this is important. And there was something that was stated in Meet the Candidate that I have to bring up. Somebody mentioned that, somebody mentioned at Meet the Candidates that you need to also change your credit card statements. Well, that's not correct. It's incorrect, actually, because your sales tax dollars don't come from your credit card statement. You're being charged a sales tax when you purchase something. So you don't have to change your credit card statements. I just want to bring that up.
We can consider this a homework assignment between now and the next meeting to bring ideas so we can have actionable items for the next meeting if you'd like. And that will lead us to Chief Pritchard. If you'd like to discuss, take possible action to approve purchase and implementation of e-citation equipment and software for the police department and municipal court.
Wonderful. I get to talk twice in one night.
I'm telling you.
It's a treat. 3 minutes. I knew that was coming. So this is something we've looked at for the last couple of years. It's been on our radar, but it was cost prohibitive. But those have certainly come down now with new competitors and new software, so these prices have significantly been reduced. Basically, what this is electronic citation devices, and basically, I went around to a few departments that are using this program, and almost Park PD actually uses mini iPads, and they put them in an OtterBox case because of the screen size is a lot bigger, so there's a lot more room to maneuver on that screen versus the equipment that the company wants to sell you. It's also cheaper, and they will put their software on the iPad, so it works beautifully. Basically, I know I got 3 minutes, but here's the issue right now with these citations. Okay, and we're writing 400 a month, and that's a lot, and those are handwritten citations. And Ryan and Janice can attest to this. Some officers write like a doctor. It's very difficult to decipher some of these citations. I know it's a thing. They get really, really busy when you have multiple violations. So there's a lot of information on there that could get misconstrued. But here's the biggest issue is when an officer writes these citations, it comes to my department. We have to enter in that data manually, every line of it. Manually input that into our computer system. That's for a racial profiling report that I'm required by law to send to the state every year. Then that citation goes to Janice, who also must input that manually because she has a different system than I have. So that citation's been touched 3 times by 3 people. It's not a good use of time. This system, what happens in the field is it has a scanner. They swipe the driver's license, it auto-populates, so there's no errors. And then they scan the VIN number of the vehicle. It auto-populates, so there's no errors. From there, it's drop-down boxes. You select the offense. You give the pad to the violator. They sign. You hit print. It prints out in the car on a Bluetooth printer. They give them the ticket. When they get back to the PD, it automatically uploads the citations to Janice's system in Encode. And so it's done. It's wirelessly transmitted. So it speeds everything up significantly, not only for the court, but also for us and for them. They're using a program called Encode. Janice and I have talked about this, so I can get my racial profiling report from her, so there's no need for us to touch them. So it's just a simple, better, more efficient way to handle citations. Now, there's a lot more to it. If you have to get technical, I can get technical, but I think you get the point.
I think you also said that the printing technology is so much better that for the violators to get them, that might have been a hitch in the earlier versions of these trying to physically.
Right, the carbon on these things are not very good. So we're actually making a copy of the citation when we get them, just so that we can read them, because the back of them it's real light. I mean, it's just an extremely expensive and time-consuming situation that can be fixed by. I think this will pay for itself within a year. I really do, with just the time we're going to save.
Yeah.
That saves us money, and in addition to that, we have people, which I applaud their enthusiasm. They'll get a ticket this afternoon. They'll come in tomorrow and they'll say, "I want to pay my ticket." We don't have it yet. It's a 2 to 3 day wait before we get it and it gets input into the system. So therefore, they have to wait to be able to pay their ticket, which in this system they can do it automatically. They can go on our website and pay for it. And I love the printout that, like you were saying, the Chief, it comes out and it's very visible and clean, because sometimes people do have a problem reading their ticket and they will call us and say, "I can't see what my court date was and I can't even see certain things on it." So this would save us an enormous amount of time in that sense of having to double work and put the ticket in again after they've already had to put it in. Plus, it relieves my court clerk to be able to bring in more revenue, because she can move on to getting those warrants out quicker instead of having to spend the first couple of hours of her day inputting tickets. She can go straight to warrants, therefore generating more revenue for the court. So I love the idea.
And the last thing I'll tell you on this, it's not just an e-citation. It can also work for city code. It has a module for city code officer to use. It does criminal trespass warnings. It does house checks. So all those things can be automated now, so we're not filling that out by hand. So there's 7 or 8 things that can be done on this iPad that right now we're doing manually that can be done automatically. So when I talk about the price, so 4 years ago it was $70,000. Now it's $33,000. So it's come down almost half. So Most agencies, I think Ryan, you're a prosecutor in other cities, most agencies are using this, so we're behind a little the power curve, but I think now because of the price and because of the STEP program and the busyness of it all, I think it's the right time to look at this.
Chief, what about maintenance?
So they do come with warranties, and the iPads, luckily, iPads are relatively inexpensive, so if something happens to it, they're $4.99, easy to replace, and then we got a 5-year warranty with the system. Then there is a monthly or a yearly service fee, but in that service fee, as long as you have that contract, your product is covered.
And the upgrades?
I have to look at that. I'm not sure about the upgrades, but it's
that technology is going to upgrade every
right,
6 months.
No doubt, no doubt. This is the one, Tyler, the one I'm recommending. A lot of cities have been using this for a long time. It's been around a long time.
So, Chief, judging on the rate of your citations for April, what would you say is the real return on investment time frame when it comes to?
That's
right.
significant. I mean, it's going to cut our traffic stops in half. And you think about 420. That is 420 times an officer has a car on the side of the road and they're interacting.
Mhm.
So think about the time. So if it's an average of 15 minutes, now we've cut that down to 7. You multiply that times 420, and to think about the commitment of time that's going to be cut in half. So it's a significant amount of time. Much shorter errors, almost none, honestly. Yeah. And there's other features, like it takes photos of the violator, takes photos of the license plate, and it attaches that in a PDF form. So when you send that e-citation up, it has a photo of the violator, the license plate, and the citation all in one sheet. And then the judge and prosecutor gets that automatically. So we're not making copies for the case file.
Is it a machine or is it a program that you have on a iPad or something?
So it is a program that
Okay.
gets downloaded onto an iPad.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And does this price include the iPads too?
The total price that I've
The
put in here,
33 includes
yes,
that,
includes
okay.
the iPads. It
How many
has
iPads?
5.
5?
Yep. It's one
And
per
is
car.
it and it's paid out of the reserve? Which
If
there's-
your fund balance, you have a large fund balance, it'd be like 1% of that, and that's what I would say. Yes, we paid out of there. I do not think it will be this year because of the interest and the sales tax and all. But when you have a large fund balance like that, and we'll talk more about that at budget, yes, that's what I would say, paid out of that. And just to remind you, the items that should be paid out of that, you can do what you want to, but the items that should be paid out of that are items like this that are one-time payment items. The service contract, everything like that needs to come out of operating because it repeats year to year. You have to fund it, so you never want to spend a large one that comes out. You got to fund it the next year.
And this expense it won't affect the nearly $600,000 we're planning to spend on streets. That's already handled. So I think it'd be a good investment.
Yeah, I move that.
Any citizen comments?
Nope, sorry.
One thing that wasn't mentioned is safety of our police officers and our personnel that are pulled over too. So we want to keep that amount of time.
Sir, I'm sorry, for the record, could you come to the podium so I can get you on the... Thank you.
State your name and your address, please. Thank you.
My name is James Grimshaw, 516 Safecrest.
Thank you.
The one piece that wasn't mentioned is safety of our officers alongside the road, safety of our personnel, safety of our citizens as cars are negotiating around that too. So I think it's a great proposition. Thank you.
Good point. Thank you. All right.
Anybody else? Okay, I move that we approve the purchase and implementation of e-citation equipment and software for the Hollywood Park Police Department and Municipal Court for a cost not to exceed $33,000.
A second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next up, looks like it's Shad.
This one's pretty quick. I just want to say thank you, Council, for your support in that. I do appreciate it. I know the officers are excited for the opportunity to get this piece of technology, so thank you very much for your support, and the
How
citizens
quickly
as
can
well.
you get it?
Well, they do have to come and train us and set it up, so it's probably going to be 4 to 6 weeks before you see it, but I'll push the button tomorrow.
Is that an online sales, by the way?
And does the
Oh, that's
and
a
do you
good
have
point.
Hollywood Park listed?
In Hollywood Park, yes. Override.
I will ensure, Mr. Howe, no problem.
Okay.
I'm not real sure how this one became an agenda item. It's an asset purchase. I believe it was $400, but basically, since it's on here, I will just tell you quickly that it's one of those neat scanning machines, because what happens is whenever we get these identity theft cases or any kind of case where we have to scan documents into our report management system, we're just using an old flatbed scanner, and it takes forever. This is one of those neat scanners where you can stick 20 documents up there, and it scans it quickly and puts it into that report management system. So another one of these time-saving issues, so we're using asset money to buy that piece of equipment. So that's what we did. I don't mind it's an agenda item, but just want to let you know that's what we did with that money.
Would any citizens like to comment on the scanning machine from the Federal Asset Seizure Program? All right. Would anyone like to move to approve its purchase?
No.
No, we don't have to.
I make a motion to authorize purchase of the scanning machine from Federal Asset and Seizure Program proceeds.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Thank you. All right. Next up, Kelly. Discuss take possible action on the shade structures at Voigt Park.
That's not a problem. This is not, I'm not asking for y'all to take any action. This is just to bring information to council. EDC, we've talked numerous times about getting some more shade structures down at the park. I met with Play Decor. Jeff Penfield is here to explain to you what he's got. He's got some packets for you, give you all kind of a little presentation. I'm taking this to EDC. Unfortunately, we didn't have the meeting this last month, so it'll be in front of EDC next month to try to get them to support this. So I just want y'all to have the information of what's going on. Jeff?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you guys for having me here today. We met with Kelly, and we understand that there's been some requests or citizens that are getting burned by the sun, by the pool. We've been out there several times, and I know there's not a lot of shade. So what we sort of talked to Kelly about is providing a shade structures in certain areas that would allow for additional shade. First of all, we are a shade playground surfacing company, so that's what we do. My partner actually lives here in Hollywood Park, and I'm a stepsister. I live on Mary Trail, so don't take offense. I have brochures I can leave in the back of the companies that, or the company we represent. We are a sales and installation company total. What I did is just put together a little, these are all suggestions. We custom make these so we can do them in any size and we can put them anywhere. So this is just something we were looking at. The first page sort of tells you a little layout of the pool, where the main pool is, and then where the kiddie pool is. All the structures on the side, the long structures, would be against the fence that faces out towards the volleyball courts. And that's where a lot of people, I think, would need the shade. These are cantilever shades, and basically they would come outside the fence and hang over 12 feet. And one structure would be 20 by 12. The other structure would be 40 by 12. The reason why we had to break it up is because you have a light pole there. So that's where we put those. We went out there at about 11 o'clock in the morning, and those two, I don't know if you remember, but you have two 10 by 10 umbrella shades that sit on that side outside the fence. At 11 o'clock, it was great shade for the grass, but no shade for the pool area. You only get probably about 5 o'clock, you're only going to get about 2 feet of shade. So those things really don't do anything. What this would do is come out 12 feet and will provide, of course, 6 feet of shade, 8 feet of shade during 11 o'clock, and a massive amount of shade during the afternoon time. The other two shades are what we call overhang cantilevers, with basically an umbrella shade, and we could put those in the little gardens around the
Bids.
kiddie pools. What's that?
Existing bids? The existing bidding areas?
Yes, batting areas, yes. And that would shade some of the area over the kiddie pool, which we've heard is a concern too. Those are the two things there. And then he asked me to put together at the end of this a little 8x8 structure, which wouldn't be a shade, but it would actually be a structure to put on the tennis courts, on either side of the tennis court, so there's some type of shade there that they can get relief from. So I put that at the back. This is pretty self-explanatory. I tried to make it that way, and then, of course, I wanted to give you some estimated pricing at the end. So when you're looking at that, it's basically a sales price, installation price. What I put in there also was you have some really nice umbrella shades that are there, but they're just not doing anything. We can relocate those to another area at Voight or somewhere else in Hollywood Park if you'd like, to provide, better shade there too. So that would just be the cost of relocating those. But in a nutshell, these are all, high quality shades. I put the specifications on the sheets here with the different colors so that you can read over, what it takes in wind velocity, things like that. But these are top of the line shades. Anybody got any questions?
Thank you for sharing that.
Sure. Anything? We can come back and do, more presentations if you have more questions later on. But just to give you a little bit.
I have a question. I have a quick question for
Yeah.
you, Jeff. The material used for the shade, it's got a 10-year warranty. Does the material wear out and you replace that material and the structures are still standing?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. After a period of time, you would replace it. I mean, we do that all the time for schools that have had about for 10, 15 years.
Mhm.
And it's a wire that goes around it. Basically, we just disconnect it and hook up, buy a new shade and hook up
Got
the
it.
wire again. So all the ones you have existing there too can be too.
This Irish skin needs shade, so let me tell you, this is
Oh, I
the
hear
beginning
you.
of.
I hear you. It's a big
right.
issue. So
when you say it's a cantilever, who adjusts that?
no, it's permanent.
Oh, okay.
So basically, you have the two poles here, and it just comes over and hangs over. So you're not having a 4-pole structure.
Okay.
You're not losing anything in the pool area with the pole or anything. So it comes outside and hangs over.
Thank you.
So, Kelly, this is something that the EDC is looking at purchasing?
It's something I'm going to take into EDC to
Okay.
try to get them to fund. I just wanted y'all to have the information.
Sure.
So you know what's going on with EDC.
Great. Thank you.
Jeff, thank you.
Will you have the gentleman come back to EDC also?
Yes.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yes, yeah, they're going to come to EDC and present at EDC.
Good.
So that's all I got on that one. And then
Is it around $40,000 for the total package?
roughly, yes, sir.
Okay, that's what I'm seeing. All right, thank you, Kelly. Now, item 7, discuss take possible action on the Voight Center marketing proposal. I think, do we have any citizen comments? We heard from you. Thank you very much for sharing that, Mrs. Waters. I know I saw some challenges with the concept and how I think Jeff pointed out the sales tax issue for an outside caterer, and then other people had a lot of issues with a single food vendor. Do we have any other discussion before we settle on this? And yes, Tanya. Thank you.
Tanya Cummings, 129 Grand Oak. I agree with Ms. Walters. I don't use the Voight Center for events, but I have been to things that are controlled by a facility. And as she said, this is our facility. It should be controlled by us. I realize that the burden may be more so on Janice and Kelly and the staff and his guys to doing things, but at least they're doing it their way. And they're doing it the way we or you all as council people want it done. So totally against
putting it out to bid for anyone else at this point. I mean, unless there's just something. But anyway, that's it.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I agree. When I heard, I watched it when I was in. Oh, were you?
Oh.
James Grimshaw, 516 Sagecrest. I would reiterate what both of them have previously said, is that a lot of times when you outsource these things, then you kind of lose that control because of contract negotiations. And we pay a little more in taxes that bother me every day. When I drive out of Hollywood Park, I pay a little more than San Antonio. We all do. So, there should be some benefit to that, right? So I don't know if it would be maybe taking a deeper dive at this, taking a deeper look to see, are there some way in there that we could be incentivized so that we get a little preferential treatment or something, but then you don't want to bump someone who's got a 1.5-year wedding planned, right? So I'm not sure what the right approach is, but hopefully that it's maybe there's a way that it can stay within the controls of Hollywood Park. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm not in favor of contracting it out.
Yeah, I'm completely against that, 100%.
I don't want to lose control of it. That's
We
the
want to
thing.
move to take action and all say no, so we can
Just
resolve
kill
it
it.
as it's written?
Can we
Or
just-
will someone move in
Well,
the direction and
we
we can
move
vote
just
on it?
You want to let
We
me
have
and
to make a
Janice
motion.
say what we were going to? So what I was.
Well, sorry, Kelly.
You have to keep doing it anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
So what me and Janice we talked about was instead of outsourcing it, to give us an opportunity. Janice wants to do the marketing. Let's keep it in-house. For me, outsourcing it, I'm really uncomfortable with it. My guys are in there daily. And a perfect example is if it was outsourced, we had an event today, we wouldn't have been in there. My guys were in there. We found when the AC's drip pan was leaking. We were able to tackle the problem and stop it before it got bad. That's something we wouldn't have seen. Maybe the vendor would have seen it. Maybe they wouldn't have. Who knows? So me and Janice have talked about it. She wants to do the marketing. She thinks that her and her staff, it'll be a little bit more work, but she thinks she can bring it on board a whole lot better if y'all will just support her on that.
Kelly and we've been talking about this for a while, and yeah, I think we can do this. I agree with Ms. Waters. I think there's a great deal of excitement, and people are trying to get the wedding venues and so forth. But let's just be honest: weddings, receptions are all booked Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. Residents use our facility on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. We already have bookings for the weekends in 2020, and it's filling up fast. So I don't want to take that time away from what the residents want to use the facility for. So my target market right now is what I'm looking at are all the people that do seminars in the area, like say SkillPath. I've already been in contact with them, and they do seminars throughout, of course, the entire United States, and they typically book with a hotel because they feel that's more convenient for them because they provide coffee and donuts. So what? I can provide coffee and donuts. The Norris Center further down, they get booked all the time because we're not, they don't know about us. We're a good kept secret. We're the best kept secret. So marketing to those types of events during the week when we don't have as many bookings as we could be making, I think would be just a sweet spot for us. So it's something that Kelly and I would like to be working on in the future.
Okay, I make a motion that we take no action.
I'd like to say something before we vote. Okay.
I'm sorry, Mike.
Janice, I would volunteer my time to help you market the facility. Okay. There's Meeting and Conventions magazine, okay, which we can be looking at, and there's ways we can take advantage of it during the week so we can have it open on the weekends, including Friday night, for the residents. So
Right. I agree. Thank you. I appreciate that.
One of my concerns is there's no doubt in my mind that the two of y'all would not do a fantastic job. Janice, you're working 7 days a week, and so are some of your girls.
Yeah.
Now you want an extra job.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Because I think I can do this. I mean, I
know you can do it. It's just
it's going to be a good thing. I think that once we get it started, once we get it out there, as Councilman Howe was talking about, I think the word will spread and my workload will reduce in that respect. And let's face it, I'm envious of Sam. I would like to retire in 5 years. So it gives me great pleasure, and the ladies really love it. Let me pass on that skill set to them. You know, I think the Voight Center is a best kept secret, and I think it should be for certain things, because I think the residents should be able to use it when they need to. But I'm telling you, I think we can book it during the week. For instance, I'll give you a for instance. There's a colleague of mine who is a junior vice president over in Caldwell Banker, right next door, and she does what they call a lockdown twice a year with 17 of her department heads at the Marriott, or what is the TPC Parkway, and all they bring in water, and it's expensive. We're right across the 1604. They should be using Voight Park or Voight Center. So yeah, I think it'll be fine. I mean, yes, it'll be a little bit extra work, but Kelly and I are up for the challenge. Yeah. We can do it.
I do think we need to raise the prices for non-residents.
That's right.
That was the other thing that we were going to bring in there. And Janice has been doing some research, and I'm not sure what she has with her, but to find out what's comparable for corporate events or for out of non-citizen events, and do a price increase. I think it's way underpriced.
Agree. Like when I was doing some research, $45 to rent a microphone at some of these locations. So, you know, I know we have a package, but I think we are drastically undercharging for outside residents.
I think it would be great if, you know, I would like to work with you on that. I think that would be fantastic.
And can we get something brought back to us? Can y'all
get a
figure it
contract?
out? Well, bring some prices.
Oh yeah, I think we could.
And maybe next
We already
month or
have prices
something
on
we
that.
can look at raising the prices for
Non-residents.
Right.
Let me
Yeah,
repeat:
not
non-residents,
residents,
non-residents, non-residents.
That's right.
Guys, am I still grandfathered in for August?
And hang on to that, my friend. Yes.
I appreciate the citizens' input. So, is the decision
Do we just not do anything?
to vote no and then settle it, or?
I think we should vote and vote
Vote to
against
keep it in-house.
To keep.
Yeah,
Yes.
so will someone move to take action, and it was A or nay, and then the nays will carry it.
So I would move to keep the Voight Center under Hollywood Park control.
Well, I think.
Can I do it like that?
I think you have to. Okay. So we're going to reverse the wording.
I second.
Okay.
Aye.
All in favor of not changing the way the Voight Center is run? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries. Thank you.
How's that going to be worded?
We'll let Janice worry about
You're
it.
supposed to say no to every way it's read.
I approve the marketing campaign of Kelly and Janice.
All right. Now, it is 9 o'clock, and we're going to adjourn to go into executive session. City Council will convene in a closed section as authorized by Section 551.071(2) of the Texas Government Code to consult with its attorney on matters in which the duty of the attorney to the City Council under the Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with Open Meetings Act, specifically signs and wire transfer, signed regulation, and other potential lawsuits or claims. That's a mouthful. It's 9:02. All right.
By the way, in my presentation, you guys see that Abbott was spelled incorrectly?
We now bring the meeting to order. It is 9:25 p.m. 9:25 p.m. And we have convened in a closed section as authorized by Section 551.071. But I don't believe I have to say that again. Okay. All right. All council members are present. And back to number 2, discuss take possible action on amending the Hollywood Park ordinance on sign regulation on private property. Ryan, would you like to summarize the purpose of our executive session?
Yes, sir.
Yes, it's on. Oh, it's a little. It's split.
It's small.
Okay.
Oh, good.
The
Back in executive session.
sign law changed significantly in Texas, actually throughout the nation. And at the very end of 2016, the Supreme Court came out with a big decision that kind of changed Texas sign law and turned it on its head a little bit. Before then, Texas was telling cities we needed to regulate based on categories, real estate signs, directional signs, political signs, while we wouldn't regulate with the content within it. It was based on category, and the Supreme Court said, well, no, you really can't do that except in certain circumstances. So your sign ordinance needs to be updated, and it needs the entire chapter needs to be updated to come into conformity with it. You guys aren't alone. Lots of cities across Texas are having to go through these changes. And so this is a proposed, the base of this ordinance proposal that you have in front of you is from the International Municipal Lawyers Association, but it's been customized for Hollywood Park. So that was just kind of a template. We tried to make things as simple and keep things as close to what we are already doing, especially for the residents, as we could. There are just certain things we're not allowed to do the same way. So essentially, the signs will be broken up into just the different zones. So you've got your residential zones and your commercial zones, and the residents inside their zones at their homes, the way the ordinance is currently written, can pretty much put whatever sign they want up within a certain size limit. It can't have like flashing lights or sounds or moving parts, but they can put up a sign or a flag or whatever they want, and there's no permit or fee or anything like that. The only real exception is it can't be a commercial sign, except if it is like you have work done at your house, and the workmen want to put a sign out. They're allowed to put one out. They've got to come get a permit so that you know what kind of commercial messages that are in the residential zone. The rest of it is the regulation on the commercial. In the commercial zone, most of the technical specifics in the commercial zone are the same as your current ordinance. We had to kind of structurally move them around and made sure they were applied without the categories. So this is the full update. Really, unfortunately, it's a little long, but we need to make sure it's compliant with the state and federal laws. So I know that this is based off of a template, and I've tried to customize it as much as I can for Hollywood Park, but you guys being the council, you guys tell me what you want changed, if you want to tweak anything, if you have any particular questions on it, whatever it is you want to do with it.
I have a list of things I would like to go over.
All right, Debbie, hit me.
Okay, and they're not page numbered, but we'll just go by chapter then. Okay, so chapter 50-02A, under contractor sign. This kind of doesn't match up with what is in 50-07, where it says such signs can only be permitted for a maximum of 30 days. So what about while they're, I think 50-07 says it's during construction and 30 days after completion of the work.
But we're limiting contractors to only 30 days here when, I mean, a lot of times they like to have their signs out while the construction is going on. So I think that needs to be made consistent with 5007D. And
Well,
like,
you can have a contractor sign that's there when there's no, it's not based on work, like construction or something. There are other types, but it's whatever time period you want to allow it.
Okay, but if we're only allowing the permit for a maximum of 30 days, then that doesn't take into, if it's a big project and it's taking 6 months or something, then.
Oh, and this one says it's 30 days
This-
after completion in 50.
Well,
5007D.
during
no,
construction,
I'm still
after
on
completion.
5002 at this point. 5002A.
Okay, I see what you're talking about.
Where it says that they're only permitted for a maximum of 30 days, so I don't think that we want to do that 30-day on that one.
So I can make it consistent. It's 30 days after completion of any work that's there.
And does that mean they can
That-
still have it while construction is going on, like Toulette's and stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
Like it is in 5007D.
Yeah, they still need a permit, but it's how
Yeah.
long is the permit valid?
Okay, so they can get it
30 days
and
after
put
the
it
pre-
in, put it in the yard when construction starts and keep it there till 30 days after construction ends?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
I will adjust that.
Okay, that's that one. My next one is 5005, section 5005. F. 5005F. Oh, okay. Processing. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Okay,
Page
that
11.
needs to say within 45 days, not 45 days. So this is where, okay, the town must promptly notify, sign permit application approved within 45 days, not 45 days after completion. Right?
After the completed application is submitted.
Yeah, but
So-
it has to be within 45 days, not 45 days. They have to do it by the, right?
Yeah, we
I
wouldn't
mean,
wait.
otherwise
would
we're
not
only,
wait
otherwise
45
we're going to wait 45 days and tell them. Okay, good.
Within 45 days. Got it.
Okay, on the next page, section 5006, bottom of the page on C, that should be height, 6 feet in height instead of 8. That's just a typo. And then back up to A on traffic control signs. Why would
Hold on, which was the 6 feet?
it says 6 feet
Oh, okay.
in? It
Got
should
it.
be in height.
You're missing an H on that.
Got it.
Yeah, okay. And then why would someone have traffic control sign on their private property? Does that apply in A?
If you have it's really not going to apply much to you guys, but if, like you don't have a place like the Forum or a place where there are roads and stop signs and things like that within, to manage traffic on a larger area, that's normally where that kind of stuff applies. But you've got Galleria Oaks, if you've got stop signs, if they change the way the parking is or something like
Okay.
that, they have to be able to put up control signs in there.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. All right, 5007A. All right. Is a 36 square foot sign too big? This is for residential, y'all. I don't think that we want people having a 6 by 6 foot sign.
Okay, there is a particular reason why that's there. While there are, like I said, the Supreme Court decision turned the Texas statutes on their head. There's still technically a Texas statute. Most of us think it is now unconstitutional, but no court's ruled it unconstitutional yet. And what it says is that you can't regulate political signs that are smaller than 6 by 6. And so this is designed to kind of stay in compliance with the state law limit while still trying to balance it with the Supreme Court ruling.
Okay.
That's
All right.
why. I agree. It's a big freaking sign.
Yeah.
But
everything's bigger in Texas.
There you go.
If it's under 6 by 6, we can't do anything about it. But if it's 6 by 6 and above, we can do something about it.
if it's a political sign.
Yeah.
But the designation of political sign is now what the problem is.
It's not a category, right?
Well, no, political sign is a category.
I mean, it's a category.
Yeah, and so you guys are kind of cut between a rock and a hard place on that particular one.
And on that same one, is there a reason for the 15 signs per yard? Or
That
is
was my
just-
next question. Do we want to allow that's kind of. does
That
it even
number
need
you can
15
change.
signs?
You can make that number whatever
Say
number you want.
5 or something like that.
I mean, the model sign code has 1. So you guys tell
I'd be
me
okay
what.
with that too.
Yeah, you guys tell me what
Well,
number
I think
you
it
want in
needs
there.
to be lower than 15. I don't think
Okay.
anyone really would ever need 15 signs in it.
Even if you had 15 kids in school, all on the swim team or something.
Or honor students.
Honor students.
What
How many
about-
kids do you have,
remember
Scott?
though, if you've got during election
That's why you
season,
said
What do I say? What if
you
you
may have
say 10?
10.
What do y'all say, 10? I mean, I don't think it's going to be a problem. No, we need more than 10.
I think 5. I think 5 is a good number.
You think 5?
You had 1 on one side of the driveway and
I
4
mean,
on the
and
other.
if you need
I
more,
think
it's.
5
I mean,
is-
here you just have to get a permit to.
And that's just it. There's the max number without a permit, and then anything over that, you get a permit
I would
for.
seem-
But you can restrict how many permits you're listing on. Yes, that permit.
Okay, I'm okay with 5. 5 then?
And then if they want more than 5, they can get a permit to add up to 5 more.
I need a mint.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay, 5.
That's so the only changes is 15 to 5.
Okay. No, I can't talk with gums in my mouth. Okay, sorry. I'm about to cough over here. Okay, C, where are we? 1507C. I don't think that we need to be regulating people's flags. I think that should come out.
It's up to you guys.
Anything about them.
Well, you don't want to have a flag that's 50 feet long.
Depends how tall the
It's never
flagpole
been
is.
an issue. We've never had a problem. In fact, the Fetzers have a giant, beautiful flag that they bring out every 4th of July, and it's incredible. And they light it up.
Yeah.
Huh? On Dinella, yeah. And I don't think we need to be regulating that.
This might have come up because of the Body Solutions flag, 281.
So what do y'all think?
Yes.
Exactly. I don't think it
Well,
should be.
it under the definitions that I'm required to use, it would be a sign. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we should be
You guys.
regulating flags.
If you want to cut it out completely, you can. The only thing is, even though you might not have had a problem yet, it's not a problem until it's a problem.
Yeah, but then we can deal with it when it is a problem.
Yes, sir. That's up to you guys. That's completely a policy call. You can cut it out. You can leave it. You can do whatever you want with it.
Okay, what do you think? I would like to take it out.
C reads, property owner or occupier may have 2 flags.
And if they want more than one flagpole, who cares? You know, I don't think. I mean, that's un-American to regulate flags.
There's a neighbor around the block who's got 3 flags, and it's got 3 branches of the military. It's beautiful. You
Okay,
walk by
let's
it,
take flags out. Y'all agree?
All right.
Okay, take it out, Ryan.
Okay.
Okay.
Just leave the laundry.
I just
Okay.
scratched it out.
Where am I?
You're on 5007C was the last one.
D. Okay, this needs to be consistent. Okay, contractor sign permit.
That one's okay.
We need to make it consistent. Well, that's the one we already talked about.
Right.
That
Yeah.
you're going to make that consistent. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. Okay, farther down in that paragraph, realtor signs. We're going to regulate realtor signs.
Well, you currently regulate realtor signs. I actually talked with, I believe his name is Britt. He's the primary liaison for the San Antonio Realtors Association, and he's the one that communicated with when San Antonio was drafting their sign ordinance on kind of what they need and what they regulate and what they don't. So if you a lot of the stuff we put that's in here is actually out of the first draft, and it's stuff that he and I had discussed. If you want to just leave it, because most of the realtor signs are going to be, you know, they're going to be smaller than what the yard signs are going to be. It's a commercial sign, though.
It's the time, though. I mean, we don't, the permit expires after 30 days, and, I mean, your house might not sell for a year.
Well, they're still giving you service.
It's what?
They're still giving you service. Until it's sold, service isn't done.
But does this specify that?
No, it doesn't specify it that way. If you want me to specify it that way.
I mean, we
can.
need to,
But-
you know, I mean, my deal is, I don't think anybody should have to come back and keep getting a permit for a realtor sign just because their house hasn't sold. So I think it should be there.
But what he's saying is they're still getting service if it hasn't sold yet.
Service isn't
As long as
done.
it's for
It's like a
sale.
yeah, as long as it's for sale, and then once it sells, they get 30 days after it's sold.
Okay, but it doesn't say that, right?
No, those specific words aren't here.
Okay, so do we need to tweak it?
I can do that, yes,
Okay.
if that's what you want.
And then I also don't think that we should have that the last sentence in D right before E, no more than 2 contractor signs are permitted on any property at the same time. I don't think we should have that. It means someone might be doing their roof, they might be doing their plumbing. I just don't think we need a limit on that.
Whatever number or lack of a number you guys want, that's up to you.
I mean, they're only going to be there for so long, so I just don't think that we need to. I don't think we need those restrictions.
Being the same contractor, maybe on a corner lot, and then so the same guys doing plumbing could have one.
So
piece
is
of
it?
this street.
Is it?
Well,
Is it the same?
doesn't-
I
doesn't
put that
say.
somewhere else. I had that same question somewhere else, but not on this one.
I wasn't thinking of it.
Oh,
as
I
a
do have
plumber
it.
and an
Yeah.
electrician.
No more than 2 contractor signs. Is that the same contractor or 2 different contractors? And
Yeah.
why limit it to 2?
Okay, it would basically be any 2 contractor signs, the way this is written right now.
Okay, let's take that out.
And that number is completely up to you guys. Or
I
you
don't
can just
think.
not
I don't
have it.
think we need the restriction.
Okay, does the council want me to take that out? We can
Take it out.
All right.
The restriction still remains as far as the timing on it after it's complete, after the job is complete.
30 days.
Contractor signs.
And that's what's in our ordinance right now, because I know they passed that since
Mhm.
I've been involved. That it can only be there for 30 minutes after it's done. 30, not minutes.
30 days.
What
It's
time
late.
is it? Okay. Vehicle signs, E right there. I don't think that needs to be in there. That has to do with parking.
No, vehicle signs are a specific category of sign that has, if you're going to regulate it, you'd regulate it inside your sign code.
Well, I don't think we should, because I mean that's saying that any car with.
We're going to have a plumbing guy that's going to be pissed off at us again.
Well, yeah, and, I mean, and that's a very small sign anyway.
1 square foot.
A one.
Yeah, that's the people that, mainly the ones that have like the magnetic.
The magnetic
ones, pull
sign,
them
too.
on and off.
Yeah, but if someone has, just a little, and
Yeah.
like the Torres tree guy, so he couldn't park there.
Again, it's up to you guys
Take
what
it out.
you want.
Take it out.
You don't want to regulate vehicle signs at all?
Not that they can't park there during those hours, no.
Well,
I
they
don't wanna
can
have
park there,
anything.
they just can't have the sign present.
But if the sign is
know.
is painted
right,
on there,
exactly.
so no, I think we take that out.
Okay, I'll warn you that, and that's what you want to do, that's fine, but what you're leaving open is there are companies that'll have like these digital signs on trucks that they'll go and they'll park and they'll display the signs in residential
I can
zones.
do that in here in Hollywood Park.
You got several, yeah, so that's what I would caution you about.
Check 1, 2. Yes,
letting
they
open-
can see it right now,
Yeah.
so they're going to know about it.
So,
More or less the trucks with signs for residents, like if you work for a plumbing company or something.
Those are off-premise signs.
You know,
yeah, but they're mobile signs, so they're always off.
There's the I don't know if anyone has done it here, but living in San Antonio, there are people that actually would get paid to have their cars shrink wrapped with advertising, and they
Yep.
drive around, and then they park in front of your house. They park down at the Voight Center. I mean, this is possibilities. It's real possibilities. So they get paid, for a year to drive around with that sign on their vehicle.
But if we do this, it's going to have unintended consequences of people who have a little thing on their car and they can no longer park there.
What do we do non-residents?
I mean, we have
If you-
commercial vehicles are covered under something else anyway. So
Yeah, and you can't have a commercial vehicle in, the residential zone,
Right.
except for the contractor signs, but if they're only there, or like during
We limited it to
service
one,
times.
One truck. We limited it to one truck, I thought.
I think your current one.
It was two? I think it made it
I think you do have a limitation on, you allow it if they live there.
Yeah.
And up to one
It's just
vehicle.
one commercial truck.
So, I mean, we can probably work that in, is if they live, they're allowed to park in their house. They live in Hollywood Park, they could park in their house.
Okay.
That's like the
Okay.
Snap-on.
That's better.
Yeah, no kidding.
Permission.
Driveway.
Okay, so that we're gonna tweak, right?
Without the property owner's
Yes.
Okay.
consent.
You might want to clear that one ahead.
Huh?
But what that's for, like,
Make sure.
if you've got the plumbing guy coming to your house to do it.
Oh, okay.
So if they live there, is the,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, that would be an exception.
Okay.
Okay, let's see, where are we? 5008B. Oh, it's just a little typo. On the third, it should say, third line, unless expressly licensed as off-premise sign.
Oh, licensed.
And then a bad typo in I. That should be, okay, sorry, on a B1C little I. That's 20 feet, not 25 feet high.
Oh.
C little I. 5008.
25.
It's 20. It says 20, and then in the
Yeah,
print
in the
it says
parentheses
25. It's just, yeah.
So which one do you want, 20 or 25?
20.
20?
Yeah, that's what it is now, and that's what it was meant to be.
Got it.
Okay. 5008. B. Where are we? Wait a minute. Wait, I've lost my place.
Pardon?
Right here, right?
Oh.
B.
Okay, sorry. 5008C. Where's 5008C? Okay, 5008C, non-commercial signs in a commercial zone.
Yeah.
Last one, a property owner or occupier in a commercial zone is permitted only 1 yard sign per property. What does that mean?
Well, in the residential one area, you're allowed to, the yard signs for your house, that's basically the unpermitted, unauthorized signs that you're allowed to put there. If you're going to allow non-commercial messages in a commercial zone, you want to limit, just like you're limiting the commercial messages in the residential zone, if you're in the commercial zone, you want to limit the non-commercial messages that are in the commercial zone.
And
so,
what's an example?
well, yeah, but I was thinking more along the lines of, this business supports, the Little League, or this business supports.
We're talking about a standing sign?
Well, it's any sign. It's any quote yard sign, which would be a sign that's in the yard or the window.
Okay,
remove
see,
the window
now the
signs,
window
remove all
thing,
those.
yeah, the window thing, that's not cool. I mean, like, people
Okay.
need to be able to put help wanted and promotional things and if the
Well, if it's help wanted or if it's promotional to them, that's commercial. That's for the commercial operation. It's for something that is not a commercial. It's not in furtherance of the business that's on premise. So
okay.
Banners, they sell, stuff like that.
that's a commercial sign. So anything that's sold, anything for their operations, anything for their administration, anything that furthers the business on the premises.
If
is a
the
commercial
Hollywood Park Humane Society wanted to put something on their window that says we have a vaccination clinic coming up next week,
That's fine. That's fine.
that's fine.
That's fine.
That's not considered
Non-commercial.
a yard sign?
No.
Okay. All right.
If they put up
Anti-vaccination
HPCA
people.
supports the Little League.
You're right.
Yeah.
That would be.
That would be the non-one, right. So, I had listed one sign, 1 yard sign per property. It's up to you guys if you want to change that number.
What do y'all think?
What do you think?
Well, I just underlined it. I wasn't really.
What do you think?
What do you want, Deb? Yeah, what do you want, Debbie?
I don't know. Somebody just.
How about 3?
Okay, 3.
Okay.
All right.
Vaccinations.
Moving on. We're almost there. In 5009, regulations regarding public property. Again, we're going to take out the flags because, and it's saying you can't put stuff on the public property here, but like on 4th of July, the little Boy Scouts go and they put flags in people's yards out on the 10-foot setback.
Easement, yeah.
So we want to allow that. So just we're going to take flags out of there.
Okay.
Okay.
Where's that in 5009? A. Gotcha.
Okay, now let's go to B. Right underneath there. Okay, so does this mean that they have to come down here? If I'm running for city council and I want to put a sign on city property, because I have a sign for my deal, I have to go get a license to put my sign up on city property now?
Okay, so what this one is, we can't regulate based on political signs, the category of political signs. And so what you do is you basically say, you know, the political time frame, when you have an election, you're going to increase the number of signs anyone can put up because, you know, people are going to want to advertise for more political messages. But it doesn't have to be a political message at all. It's just you're increasing the number of signs they're allowed. If you are going to let it on private property, you know, especially in the residential zones, they can do what they want there. This is the city property, and so you have to make sure everyone has an equal opportunity for placement. You have to make sure you don't get into those squabbling matches where people are moving each other's signs. Things can get very nasty, especially when you're talking about the signs inside your public right-of-way or inside your easement. So you need something that actually tells you, it has some accountability to it, to say, look, this is my sign, I'm the one that put it there, and I have the right to put it this many signs at this location, and so does everyone else around me. Because it's a city property, so you can't kind of do the first come, first serve. It can cause you other problems. I know this is a sensitive subject, but
Kelly's issue.
yeah, but because we can't regulate political signs the same way, this is kind of the, I guess, recommended solution. So you avoid those types of situations and you have as fair of a playing field as you can for all candidates that may be running or any issues that may be up.
One permit for all or any signs for each.
Yeah,
candidate?
you just come in, you
One permit.
you just do it one. You come in and say, you get the license. It's actually not a permit. You get a license and you say, I'm going to be licensed to put it on the public property. And you go do it. It's not an issue of how many you pay for. You just come in and do it once. It's a registration. It's a licensing registration.
But that's a hassle for Janice to have to do that, and then all this other crap where you have to put your name on it. You put a sticker on the bottom of the back. I mean, and if it's okay, like for 30 days prior to the election and 4 days after, why do we have to come? I don't understand why we don't have to come get a license. I don't understand why it just can't be okay to put your political sign out there for your 30 days. Nobody has to bother Janice and get a permit. You don't have to put your name on the back of the sticker and all that ridiculousness.
Without the regulation, it'll get much nastier than that. Now, honestly, Hollywood Park has been relatively tame in the past, for the past decade as far as some of the nastiness that happens during election time. But some of my other cities get very, very, very nasty.
I thought as long as
it's never been an issue, though.
I thought they all had to have the treasurer, the address, the names.
Yeah, but now but they're talking about putting a sticker on the back saying, like, this is my sign, and this is
the space.
Sounds like a
Well, they'd have,
reference. As long as the information's there, it should
they
be
have to place them.
and your
so many feet
address
apart.
and your phone number and your email address, all that.
That goes back to the accountability. Whose sign is put there?
If you're running for office, you're going to have to give all that.
I'd hate to put it I thought that was on the sign. Your treasurer, their address, their name.
I'm
but
not
it was
gonna run
your-
again.
Well, the treasurer information's on the sign, but we also have to avoid any conflict with the election laws for what you do, because you still have to comply with, designating your treasurer and on all of that stuff.
How about we leave that temporary license thing out, and if it becomes a problem, we can always adopt it. I mean, it's not an issue right now.
Well, how are we going to regulate the number of signs on public property and where they're going to go? So an example, Joe Smith decides he's going to run for council, and he goes down to Memorial Park, and he puts 70 signs completely around Memorial Park. Or down in the middle of the park. There's got to be some kind of
Joe Smith's going to lose.
regulation saying, okay, you
Yeah, he
can
would
put 3
lose.
signs on.
Because it's all city property here.
Right, and we're not talking about private property. You can do what you need to on private property.
And
It's
I'd
just
hate
the
to go
city's
down
property.
to Boyd Park and have signs stuck everywhere.
So what are you proposing? I mean, does this even limit how many you can have?
This limits the location, so it's only on the right-of-way adjacent to the roadways.
Can
So
we-
it stops it from being put on any other, like, city property. It's just where people drive and can see it. It limits the height and the size.
Intersections.
Yeah, intersections, basically,
Can we
and
just say
the distance
no
between the
signs
two.
on public property?
You could, but that's up to them.
And that way they could just have it there here.
On election day.
The marker on election day, rather than,
But not place more than 2.
Is that what it says?
12-foot square foot area of the unapproved public right of way.
Yeah.
No, that's within a 12 square foot area.
Oh.
That's the spacing requirement.
Yeah. So what do y'all think?
If you make it really, 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 really simple, then just don't let any signs on public property. But that usually will upset a lot of people
Yeah, we don't want
on
to.
public property. Don't let it on public property. I'm saying that simplifies it. That's all.
But there is something in there, Kelly, that says nothing can interfere with you guys' work.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
but are you gonna make the decision of pulling candidate A side as opposed to candidate B?
I pull all the
No,
signs.
he would pull them up and leave them
I'll put
down.
with the truck. We'll have a truck.
You don't have to put them back.
You can't touch somebody else's sign.
No, I mean.
Just touch it, why'd you pull my sign? You like that guy better than me?
He's a vandal.
That's the problem.
But you can get charged with theft if Kelly does something with the sign and
I
it's
thought
not
we-
to be and they say it wasn't interfering with anything, and he says it was. It gets to be complicated.
I
And
think
so-
we should leave it the way that you have it written in there.
Okay.
That's what I think.
Okay.
I love it.
All right. Okay, we need something that says, something to the order of this section does not apply to signs, I can't read my writing, communicating city council meetings, HPCA functions, and events, and HP committee signs and club events, something like that.
Public note.
Like our
public
fawn
information
signs and our Humane Society vaccination
You're
clinic.
getting into content.
Mayor's moving there.
No, they're owned
Public
by
information.
their
But if
clubs.
clubs get it, but everybody else doesn't. To know if it's a club or not, you have to read it. I can do it if it's the government actually speaking. So if it is a city council meeting, if it is something that the city is actually doing.
The DARE committee would be, so it's really like a public service announcement. is
Yeah,
what we're
if
doing.
if it's the government speaking, then I can actually include that. No, ain't no private groups or nonprofits.
Well, we have to be able to put the HPCA signs out.
Well, they can put it on any private property.
But,
if
but
they
they
need to.
put them on corners and stuff. They're putting them in the right of way. If they put them 10 feet into the yard, nobody
That's up to
sees
you guys.
them.
But that's one of those. If you want one in, you got to let all in, which is one of the frustrating things I know because we can't regulate based on content anymore. So we can't do it the same way we used to. I understand what you're saying. I really do. And I wish there was an easier solution that I could give you.
When you look at all the political signs we just recently saw on Voight, I'm just using Voight as an example. Sure, the HPCA's got theirs right on the corner, okay? But even if it was off that 10-foot easement, you still can see it, And it's on the private property of the corner where they sell the Girl Scout cookies, okay? Or the corner you know, where the stop sign is. That 10-foot easement is not the end of the world if the HPCA puts their sign there. Now, when it comes to the Deer Committee, that can go right in the easement because it's
That's
a
a government
city
sign.
government.
Yes.
You know,
Yes, that can go around the easement.
so
I just say no more signs, period.
Okay.
So I really don't see the HPCA having a problem having
don't
it
think the
10
Deer
foot
can
off
read
there.
them.
Because you still can see it.
Let me adjust it to allow for the government speech in that area, and we can, because I'm going to bring this back to you anyway with these adjustments, and everyone kind of think on it, and then you can tell me what to do at the next meeting.
Okay.
Is there anything else?
Okay, let's see. We're so close to being done. Y'all should be thankful for me for reading this whole stupid thing. Okay, next page. Next page, distance limits, number 5 on the next page. Okay, so right now, the electronic sign says 1,500, isn't? And this makes it 500.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The regulations at the state level now allow you to do the 500.
Okay, so that's what we're conforming to.
Yes, that's what you're conforming.
Okay.
You guys are technically now, you're what's called a certified city, and so it's actually the federal regs that kick in when you do that, and so it's the federal regs that actually have the 500 foot in there. And
So we do need to adopt that? Is that what
yes,
you're
I
saying?
recommend you adopt that.
Okay. On structure, right down there on number 7, E, it says exceed 85 feet in height, and right now it's 80, and I'm not inclined to go higher.
That one you can leave at 80 if you want to leave it at 80. It's fine for you to leave that at 80.
What do
if you
y'all
want
think?
to.
I don't see why signs should be even higher than
But
they
you
are
can
now.
you can go up to 85. Now you can't go more than 85. That's both the state and the federal won't let you do
And
that.
in our ordinance right now, it's 80 feet.
Yes, your ordinance right now is at 80 feet.
I would be inclined to leave it at 80.
Be honest with you, it all depends where the sign goes. I would think that sometimes you might need to be at 85 feet high. Okay,
two-story
it
building.
depends where it's at. You know.
Okay.
Bo, do you know the answer to this? If you could have an extension on top of a sign face, isn't it 5.5 feet?
Yeah, it's 20% of the height. So if it's 14 foot, it's 48 foot sign. You get 20% improvement above that. So you could do like 3 feet on top. But as far as your height limit, TxDOT being a certified city, there's actually no height limit with TxDOT in a certified city at all. You could actually have 1,000 foot tall signs. So TxDOT doesn't rule that, but you guys do currently have 80 feet in place, and then this new ordinance says 85 feet. So it's 80 versus 85 is really kind of your choosing. But as far as the TxDOT rule in certified cities, there's actually no height limit.
That's all I have.
So then the FAA would get involved with the 1,000-foot tall.
So Michael says put it at 85. Keep it at 85.
Okay. Yeah, and like Oscar was saying, well, it does depend on 85. A lot of cities and states regulate above grade of the road you're reading to. That is just a straight up overall height. So it's different if it's at an overpass, for example, 85 is going to appear quite shorter than a sign that is above grade, whereas the interstate is something below. So the ordinance right now is just reading the overall height from directly adjacent to the sign, opposed to the grade of the roadway. It's reading.
Okay.
That would be like the sign there, 281 South off of 410. It's like that attorney sign. I mean, that's way above the overpass. Is it the 444 guy?
Yeah. 4.
Okay, I will make those adjustments and bring this back to you at the next meeting. Is that what you want me to do?
Sure. Please.
Okay.
Quick question.
And this here for the political
I feel like I took one for the team on that one.
You did.
You did. That's for being in Australia.
Councilman Truman took one for the team. We are now adjourned. It is 10:03 p.m. 10:03. You
I just
betcha.
want you guys to know that spell check does not always work. My English teacher, Mrs. Howe, corrected me, Abbott. Okay, I dropped a T at the end. and for Governor Abbott signed the bill.
Oh, two T's.
And